Oh, hey,
Talk to your fans.
hey, watch live now, Spider-Man Crawl Space. All right,
Yeah.
that's my favorite.
Yep. My favorite is this Hangout on air is live. Hangouts on air is going away August 1st.
Oh dear.
Yep. So I'm still trying to figure out how I stream with Discord. Zach and I were testing it. You have a Discord account, I think.
Well, I downloaded the app to my phone, but I've never used it.
Oh, I think you got to log in on your desktop to be
Oh,
where you are
yeah.
now. So
Okay.
we'll
Yeah, I
figure it
guess
out. We're gonna
I'll
do
have to
some.
download it to my computer then, I guess.
You can just log in in a browser. That's all you need. Let me see. Let me go share this stuff, or let me go open the YouTube chat and see if people are there yet.
Well, there's 4 watching.
There are 4 watching. Matt, hello. JP, heyo. How are you, buddy? Giorno, hello.
Wait a minute. There's 2 of them. There's 2 Giovanni. No. Oh, they fooled me. Looky, different vowels at the end.
Doesn't take much.
Matt Giovanni and Giorno Giovanna.
Woof.
Whoa.
You'd think they're brothers, but maybe not. I don't know. Let's see. Let me put this up on our Facebook page so people can go.
And then JP the third. Does that imply that there were 2 JPs before him?
That would, maybe it's JP Morgan. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe from the Morgan family. All right, Facebook. Let me put this up so you all can.
Oh, so there were 2 JPs, huh?
Yep. Are you a second, JR?
No, I'm an original. Actually, my father went by, so he was JP and I was JR. Which, if that doesn't convince you that we were a couple of rednecks, nothing will. All that we were missing were the John Deere hats.
Okay, here it goes. Share now. Let me put it in Discord too. I've started becoming more involved in Discord. It's like a modern message board, is what I'm kind of gathering. Here, I'll tag everyone. How about that?
I have a John. Hey, all right. You have a John Deere hat. Oh boy, where are you living, JP? If I may so ask. Are you in the Corn Belt? Danny D's World. I don't recognize any of these names, Brad. Is your fan base expanding?
Who? Give me a second. I had to Discord it. Who's talking? What's going on? Okay.
Oh, I was just saying. I saw like Danny D's World, and I was thinking, I don't recognize that name. Does that mean that your fan base is expanding, Brad?
Perhaps. I don't know Danny D's World, so that must be a new poster. So hello, Danny D's World.
Okay, JP the third, Mississippi. Am I reading that right? Mississippi.
Mm-hmm. Yep. MS. Well, George, where are you?
Oh, Danny D says I've been here a few times actually. Well, that one's on me, I guess. I didn't remember.
You've slept. You've slept, JR.
Well, you have to remember how old I am.
Yes.
I mean, if you don't remember, I'm sure George will bring it up.
Yeah, 85, right? No.
I'm pretty much floating around in the Mississippi Delta. Flood's still up here. Yeah.
So this is your chance, everybody. What do you want to ask JR while we're waiting a little bit?
Hey, Chi-Town's there.
What's up, Chi-Town? Did you see Chi-Town's letter in the back of ASM this week?
No, I didn't.
It's the 4th time he's been put in the letters pages of Amazing Spider. Or no, I think it's 3 in ASM, 1 in Renew Your Vows.
I was about to say, isn't that how like Ralph Macchio got his start or whatever? He was writing a bunch of letters and
he wrote his letters to Pat Morita.
Different Ralph.
I know. Even in the letters column, it goes, Norbert, you again. I thought that was kind of funny, Chi-Town. So that was cool. 4 times, yes. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Not a lady. Hey, anybody in YouTube chat? You 8 people watching at the moment. Anybody live stream from Discord to YouTube through OBS? Probably not, if I had to guess.
Ooh, 9.
Yep, they're going up.
Oh, we lost one already.
JR, you shouldn't have bragged.
I think you offended somebody. I used this, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Zach and Neil and I recorded Spider Satellites yesterday, and we tried to do it, and I got a weird infinity effect. But we're going to test it some more between now and August, when we record our regular shows.
I was about to say, every time I get used to some technology, it changes on me.
Well, I know. We used to do this with Skype.
Mm-hmm.
And what do we use something before Skype? I think Skype's always been it. Skype, and
we use the phones.
Yeah, I did call you on the phone and record it through Skype, though. Yeah. I'll never forget calling you at your hotel that one time. I kept calling the front desk lady, and she thought I must be your biggest stalker.
I'm trying to think of why in the world I didn't have a cell phone with me at that time. Because, I mean, we've been doing this.
Oh, yeah.
2006. Why didn't I have? Yeah. Oh, well, probably because they weren't reliable.
Yeah. I mean,
I think
probably the landline sounded better too.
That's true.
Jonathan, what's up? Logan, we're getting ready for Spider History. Just waiting on George. He's. I was a little bit late, and George should be here shortly.
Well, I don't recognize that name either, Jonathan.
Let's see.
I don't want to mispronounce
Leduc. Logan, what's up, man?
All right, Logan.
Have you read latest ASM that came out Wednesday?
I scanned it.
Oh, okay.
I scanned it.
It was doesn't have Spider-Man in it. It's all a setup for his supporting cast, which I guess, they've been out of the book for several issues, so.
Yeah. I was more than a little miffed that the Kindred thing didn't get or at least a little more resolved.
What did we get? Well, we learned his name in that issue, and
we learned it in 24, and then we were thinking we were being set up for something in 25, and in 25 and 20. Yeah, and 25 turned out to be Mary Jane's issue with Spidey as a pretty well supporting character.
Yeah. The art in 26 was kind of rough. Peter doesn't look like Peter.
Who drew it? Was it our buddy Humberto again?
It was not. It was not. Muth, something like that. I forget. I remember he did a Thunderbolt run. That was Well, Logan, I'm glad that you can catch us live. That'll be fun. It reminds you of Ultimate Spider-Man, huh, Matt? I don't think that's a compliment. We reviewed Spider Satellites last night, and we were commenting on Miles Morales' artwork. And man, there's a section in there we couldn't tell what was going on. There were like 3 artists, and they were at a fancy restaurant. And JR, how many fancy restaurants that they put a napkin box right on the table? And then their faces were so contorted. It was bad. Walker, that's right. Kev Walker, that's right.
I was about to say the last time the closest thing was when I had at Shiler's barbecue or whatever, and there was a roll of paper towels sitting right there.
Oh, we've got a couple barbecue places that do that also. I like that. I'm a big napkin user. I go through them. Do you?
I just use my shirt and pants.
Well, there's that.
I told you I'm a redneck.
Yep.
Well, Jonathan, I hope we don't disappoint you. Hope we don't
You've
disappoint
never
you.
seen Spider History live. Wow.
And look, I've got a whole bunch of pages of notes here and everything, so
Oh my
I'm
gosh, you
ready.
do notes?
I'm ready to go.
Well, you know, we
I
should tell.
have to because I'm so
Well,
old. I forget.
we're doing. We'll tell the folks what we're doing. We're doing August 1966, which is the issue, very important Goblin issue.
Oh yes, oh yes.
ASM 39 came out.
Mhm.
Where is that the cover with him dragging him on the glider?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's.
Yes, indeed.
And 40 must be the one where he's in the chair.
I think.
Oh no! I'm thinking of a Marvel Tales cover. Never mind.
Yeah, 40 is where he's standing over Norman's
Yeah, that's right.
fallen body, and it says Spidey saves the day.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got 10. We're in double digits. Thank you, people. We're in double digits.
And we're also going to review one of my favorite annuals because it's Spidey versus Hulk.
Spideyverse, that's right.
Oh, and it's an Avengers tie-in, so that'll be the first Spider history.
It is the actually it is the first time Spider-Man met the Avengers, I believe. I mean, at least the way history unraveled originally. I think in issue 11 he was in the background or something of Avengers.
Well, there's a part. There was a in one of the early Avengers issues. Iron Man floated around the city and met Spider-Man, but that wasn't the full Avengers, I don't think. And Spider-Man pretty much said, "Get lost." I think that's awesome. And then for September's history, we're going back to 1978. With
not as many it doesn't quite have the gravitas of August 1966, but we'll make it.
But one of the reasons I picked that month is, according to our friends at spiderfan.org, has 2 Spidey super stories in it. So I'm excited about hearing that.
Well, I don't have either one of those.
Oh, get out of here. Really?
No, I stopped at issue number 24.
You're not going to review those 2?
I can't. I haven't even seen. I've never seen them. Okay. And they're not on Marvel. They're not on
Unlimited. Good luck.
Unlimited. Yeah. And I don't think I was able to find them anywhere, even many years ago when I acquired certain things. I don't think I got Spidey Super Stories.
JR, look in your chat.
Look in my chat. Which chat?
There you go.
Oh, actually, they do have them, huh?
Yeah.
Huh. I never would have. Okay. Well, let me then. Well, we've got some time. We won't be doing that one until
Yeah.
Because I've got my Kindle here, and I can go through it easier on there.
I know. Far From Home is crossing $1 billion. One of my least favorite Spider-Man movies is making the most money. I think that's crazy. But it's got the backing of Avengers Endgame. So.
Yeah, and they, and I think they released it in the Asian markets all at the same time, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
Because usually, a lot of times, some of the Asian markets, like Japan, doesn't get an American movie for months. But I tell you, I don't know what movie makers would do without the Chinese market.
They make a lot of money.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to text George. I wonder where he's. George. Okay.
Well, I think the $1 billion threshold guarantees a third one. Wasn't that the chatter that if Marvel?
Well, that's the rumor. If you believe that one video that you and I were talking about, that was on YouTube, that guy had an inside Marvel source.
Mm-hmm.
Then yes, Sony required one of the movies to make $1 billion before they can take the character back or something. That video was interesting in the fact that they didn't want to totally do Mary Jane and Aunt May like their classic versions.
Yeah, it's like they almost have to create new characters because of the rights issues. Because if I guess the way it works is Sony has only licensed Spider-Man. And therefore, in a way, in order for Sony to keep control of the classic versions of all these other characters. They
Mhm.
have to create for the movies. They have to create not so similar different
Yeah,
versions of them.
it sounds like a logistic legal nightmare if
Yeah,
it is indeed true.
yeah.
I said, George, are you on your way? He goes, it's still down. I go, what's down? So we'll find out what is happening to George in a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. No Spider-Man 3 for MCU confirmed so far. You know what, Giorno, I saw another video, and someone had a good point. Really, it's not I don't think a Spider-Man movie is Marvel's to announce. I think it's Sony's to announce.
I would agree. And
Yeah. So I
also,
think that's why we didn't see many, hide or hint of it. It's not Marvel's to
I
announce.
don't, maybe they're keeping their cards close, but the movie's still in the theaters. I don't know if they want to.
Well, I was about to say
George's
they needed
internet.
something to jazz up that lackluster lineup, though. That was a snooze fest. I don't know. None of those movies appeal to me, and certainly nothing. None of those. I'm not subscribing to Disney Plus anytime soon.
Oh, why not?
I don't like to pay for TV behind a firewall. TV used to be free, Brad.
With your antenna, dude.
Yeah,
TV has not been free since the '80s. You want?
We used to have an antenna outside, and when
you had three channels. I know.
4 PBS. We had PBS.
Yeah. But now you want that back, huh? So George said his internet is down. So just go ahead with Spider History, and he says it usually fixes itself, and George will join us shortly.
Marvel Studios is basically forcing Sony into and they have to reboot. Yeah. I don't know. I almost wish that Disney would buy Sony.
I do too.
And get it.
Then how many movie studios are there? One.
Yeah, Disney
and all the independents. Yeah.
Disney and Universal. And
all right, JR, let's start. And
all right,
George will join us. You want to do 66 first?
Well, yeah. I mean, it is August, right?
Yeah. This will be the August episode. Okay, coming down in 3, 2. Hey, Crawl Spacers, welcome to our Spider History for August 2019. We've got JR here. Who else will we do Spider History with?
I don't know. You could try to do it with someone else, but it just wouldn't have the same pizzazz.
I've never done a Spider History segment without you, I don't think. No, I haven't. Okay.
I don't think we have.
And George was going to join us, but he's having a little bit of internet problems. So hopefully he'll join us within this episode. So I thought, what was coming out in August in the 50-plus year history of Spider-Man? And I was going through the issue release dates, or the months that are on the covers, at least, over at spiderfan.org. And I said, you know what? In August of 1966 was a very milestone issue for Spider-Man. It is a Goblin related, so I know JR is going to bite on that. ASM, Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1, 39. Tell me about this. This is a classic issue.
Well, don't you, but before I start, don't you usually say written by, penciled
Stan
by?
Lee. Okay. Penciled by John Romita Sr. So it's kind of a hack job. No, I'm just kidding.
a fill-in job.
It's a fill-in issue, right?
Yeah. Now, if George were here, he would remind us, for example, that the gang talked about Amazing Spider-Man number 39 and 40 on Fight Club, Crawl Space Podcast number 452, December 2016. Enough said. Smile and
that's so funny.
Yep. So, that's well, I guess George would have said it a little bit differently. The gang talked about. So anyway.
By the way, I forget who sent it to me the other day, but they adored your impression. It was. They said that was one of the funniest Crawl Space podcast moments they've ever seen. So I'm like, I thought that was pretty good. All right, let me pull this up on Marvel Unlimited. Let's see. 39 and 40, as I will read along with you.
All right.
This is the first issue that John Romita penciled after Ditko walked, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and again, folks, I want to refer you to podcast number 452, Fight Club, where we talked about the historical, the historical nature of this issue. But yeah, anyway, it's number 39 was the first John Romita Senior, and it was a sea change in the
Yeah.
history of Spider-Man. Ditko. When after Romita took over from Ditko, Spider-Man became completely different. Well, I wouldn't say completely different, but a very different title.
Yeah.
Gone was a lot of the angst, and well, I shouldn't say the angst and the anguish, but just Steve Ditko's Spider-Man was kind of an angry Spider-Man, and he was lecturing hippies, and he was punching mannequins because they reminded him of Ned Leeds, and he would talk about how he hated Ned Leeds and things of that nature. And then all of a sudden, issue 39 comes in, and Peter is smiling and friendlier, and everybody's warmer.
Yeah.
But Romita brought a lot more pizzazz to Spider-Man at just the right time.
Yeah.
So,
And I've seen interviews with Romita that he was trying to imitate Ditko, at least for the first few issues.
mhm.
But then he eventually got his own style. But that cover is one of the most iconic images of the Green Goblin carrying Peter Parker with Spider-Man's mask off, and you see Peter Parker and with a rope around him. That is one of the most iconic. I even have an action figure set of that.
Yep, I've got it. I've got it.
Select.
Yep, I've got
Yeah.
it too. Yeah, it's been, how many times has it been riffed? I mean, I know at least with
yeah.
Spider-Man, it
Yeah.
was riffed in Hobgoblin Lives, not on the cover, but on a panel inside.
Yeah.
It was riffed for a variant, Amazing Spider-Man 800 variant.
I think Deadpool's done it too.
Well, Deadpool riffs everybody. Whoa, Mike McNulty's chiming in as well.
Is Mike talking?
Yeah, he says, yes, love this issue.
Oh,
It's
good.
arguably the story where the Green Goblin stopped being a Halloween gimmick villain and became Spidey's #1 arch enemy.
I would agree with that. Because 14, you kind of, when we did it, reviewed it several months ago, you thought 14 was a little cheesy. And I still love that issue, mainly the Hulk and the first appearance of the Goblin. But yeah, luring Spider-Man out to the desert to a movie set. Yeah. I know.
Come on.
Yeah. But anyway, I agree with McNulty. This is when he turned. This is when he became one of the arch nemesis. Or you can argue the arch nemesis.
Yeah, and the thing is, you kind of wonder why the Green Goblin was selected for this particular honor, really, because I mean, they could have done it with anybody. I mean, they could have picked Doc Ock, or I'm trying to think, Mysterio. I mean, they could, Spidey had some, he had some classic villains. They could have picked anybody. I mean, Mysterio could have done it with his illusions. He could have hit or whatever and watched Peter change or whatever, but they picked the Goblin. So,
yeah.
And I'm glad they did. So,
yeah. All right, give me a review or a synopsis. What happens?
All right. So anyway, the issue opens with the Green Goblin in all his glory, in full supervillain monologuing mode. Plotting revenge on his most hated enemy, and he starts telling us about his dastardly plot to expose it, to learn his secret identity and reveal it to the world. And we see the Goblin working, and he says, "I've modified my rocket-powered flying broomstick so that it's more powerful and maneuverable than ever. The only problem is he's working on the glider. He's not working on the broomstick." Anyway, so the Green Goblin spends a page. One page. Not like Mysterio in issue 66, who spent 2.5 pages monologuing. The Green Goblin just gets 1 page. But anyway, so Peter's under the weather. We see Peter Parker. He's under the weather, and he goes to see his old friend, Dr. Bromwell. But in the midst of being treated, Dr. Bromwell wants to talk to Peter about Aunt May.
Yeah.
And, Peter says, "Now, Doc, okay, Doc Ock already likes her. Jameson Sr. is going to like her. Some cripple in a wheelchair is going to like her. I mean, you're just going to have to get in line." Anyway, and Doc Bromwell says, No. It's just because you got to remember, folks, it hasn't been long since Aunt May started having the ill effects of that blood transfusion that Peter gave her, and his radioactive blood was making her sick. So he had to get something medication that Doc Ock had. And
is Bromwell the guy that was guilt tripping him more than he needs? If I remember correctly, he kept like, you should really stay home with your aunt. You should really help her out. If I remember correctly. There was a doctor. Maybe it been him, maybe it's not. But there was.
It was. I think later. It was later,
Okay.
and I think Peter had enough of it and grabbed him and
literally
lift him off the floor. But it wasn't Doc Bromwell. Doc Bromwell was the guy who diagnosed his ulcer. In the early 100s. So anyway, he wants to say
obscure trivia. That's funny.
Well, I mean, no, it's famous. Don't you remember Spider-Man's ulcer?
I don't remember Spider-Man's ulcer.
Oh, man. Anyway, so Dr. Bromwell says, well, it's not been long since your Aunt May had her operation, and she's still weak, and she's an old woman, and in her present condition, she should have no sudden shocks, or she'll die. And then Peter goes, oh, no, now I must never let her learn my secret identity. She'll worry into the grave. Oh no! So of course, this. It's so we're going to have some more tortured angst here. Anyway, so Peter goes to school and he's moping, and which he usually does actually. Yeah. And the gang, Flash and Gwen, and some other guy try to be friendly to him, and Peter just blows them off. Which he did a lot back then. It's kind of funny. We all understand Peter and we all know what he was going through and everything like that. But he wasn't the most friendly person. I mean, he kind of blew these people, and then he would get he would talk somewhat arrogantly and condescending and things of that nature. And we understood him, but somebody who didn't quite know what he was dealing with might take it wrong. So anyway, so Harry then arrives with his father. Of course, and of course Norman is rather surly as usual.
Like a similar scene out of the first Sam Raimi movie.
Oh, geez, you just
so sorry.
Sorry. I was just going to say, Charles, pull around. Why? The entrance is right there. Dad, these are public school kids. I'm not going to show up in rows. Oh, so I should trade in my car for a Jetta because you flunked out of every school or private school I sent you to?
Oh, look at you quote the first Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, and you just
I just ruined it. I'm so sorry.
Gosh. Anyway, wrong media. Anyway, so Harry's going, Dad, something wrong? And Norman says, yeah, it cost me a fortune to keep you in school. So pay attention and study hard. And oh, by the way, don't forget your tampons as you walk out, you little wuss. And
you're making stuff up.
So anyway, Peter notices that Harry's kind of down. And Peter says, wow, gee, usually Harry's already insulting me. Maybe I better go and see what's going on. And so he goes, hey, Harry, what's going on or whatever. And Harry says, I don't want to talk to you. Get away from me. And then he says, oh, man, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean it. And then Peter's going, whoa, Harry's a human being, and
even with that haircut.
And even with that haircut. And, Harry says, oh, I'm sorry. It's just, me and my old man, we used to be real close, which Harry's being a little bit delusional here, but anyway, we'll go with it. We used to be real close, but now all of a sudden in the last few months, he's become just mean and evil and plotting, and he rubs his hands together a lot and cackles and everything. Yeah. I don't know what's wrong with the guy, and of course, then Peter says, well, I mean, hey, let's make this about me. Okay. I didn't even have a father. So there, I got you beat one. Wow. Oh, and Harry says, "Oh, had no idea, and see, this little conversation doesn't go unnoticed by Gwen and Flash, and Gwen is like, well, anyway, after this scene, Gwen is so happy that Peter's interacting with Harry that maybe he'll become a member of the gang that she has to go change her underwear after this scene because,
speaking of Gwen, it's interesting to see her without the barrette on her or whatever that thing's called, the black hair thing in her.
The hairband.
The hairband, yeah.
The hairband, yeah. My daughter had one actually, and I used to call that her Gwen Stacy hairband.
When did Gwen start wearing that thing? Because that's what she died in. So that's what people remember.
Sometime during the Romita Romita run? I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember when. Oh, she didn't have it for a while, because I think Romita admitted to trying to make her look like a little bit more like Mary Jane, because Mary Jane was so popular and Mary Jane was much more fun to work with
if
and
you
draw
look at
or
that
whatever.
panel of her standing behind Peter as he's talking to Harry, that could be straight up Mary Jane. That looks very similar to Mary Jane. But
Well, I wasn't. I mean, I was just thinking that she's really kind of getting a little hot under the.
Yeah.
I mean, it's anyway. So anyway, so Flash is
she's
looking
gonna
at Peter.
slip him a note that says, "Meet me at the bridge." You got a lot of Spider-Man jokes. Only you people get them.
Yeah, jokes.
Okay.
Anyway, so after all this, Peter changes Spider-Man. He goes out swinging a while, and he sees on top of on the observation deck of the Empire State Building, he sees a robbery going on. Well, this isn't just an ordinary robbery, okay? This is a setup. And Spidey notices during the fight when he's plastering these goons that something's not quite right. It's like they were anticipating and they're not really trying very hard, and they're not, paying attention to their hostages or whatever and so he says, this just doesn't seem right, and of course it's not right, because up in the air somewhere out of sight or whatever, the Green Goblin is watching. And the Green Goblin, let's see here if he's I'm not quoting anyway. I'm not quoting the Goblin yet. So anyway, the Green Goblin's watching. This is this is my scene. This is my plot. I'm gonna foil his spider sense and do all kinds of.
Actually, he says everything went perfectly according to plan. My trumped up robbery attracted him as I knew it would. There you go. Ha! I can't quote it.
That didn't sound very good. You didn't. Anyway,
I wasn't trying to do a Goblin dead on.
Anyway, during the fight, one of the goons throws what looks like a big smoke bomb at Spider-Man, and it goes poof, And Spider-Man said, "Well, that was sure a waste of time." And the thug goes, "Hey, that green goon lied to us," which is interesting because then later Spider-Man says, "That was clearly a setup job. I wonder who had them who set this up with those guys," ignoring the fact that the guy literally said who had done it, more or less.
Well, if you think about it, Ditko had a lot of green villains, so it could have been any of them.
Yeah, but no, I mean, Green Goon. I mean,
Mysterio,
Lizard. Yeah, well, yeah, the Lizard, that criminal mastermind, the Lizard. Yeah. So anyway, so. We know, the Green Goblin has deadened Spider-Man's spider sense. And he starts, what happens is he follows Spider-Man around and he's going to watch him change. And it's like
peeping
kind of scary, and Peter says, "Well, I'm going to walk by this deserted building here and in the midst of the most densely populated metropolis in the United States, and nobody's going to notice me taking my clothes off, and also nobody notices this green and purple guy flying around." It's like, he's up there, and it's like,
by the way,
nobody sees him.
In an upcoming news episode when we record it, have you seen that they've actually built a Goblin glider? Have you seen this?
Yes, I have.
I saw it on the news the other day, and I have specifically saved it just for you to talk about on an upcoming episode.
I think they're calling it a hovercraft right now, or something, or hoverboard, but that was the first. That was the first thing I thought of. Was
it looks like the Goblin.
Yeah, that's scary. But so the Green Goblin is watching Spider-Man change his clothes, and then and Peter is, while he's doing this, Peter's thinking, well, I know that nobody's going to see me because my spider sense would tell me if somebody was watching me take my clothes off. And but little does he know. So the Green Goblin is watching and watching and watching, and then all of a sudden Spider-Man unmasked, and the Goblin goes, "Oh my God, he's 19 or 20. He's a kid." Mm-hmm. Holy cow. Well, I'm just going to follow you home, little man. So, and in fact, I think this is a quote. "That's it, little man. Head home so that the gallivanting Green Goblin can see where you live." Gallivanting Green Goblin. Like,
in YouTube chat, they said it could have been the Vulture. It could have been Electro. The green goons. Come on, they're all green.
They're not, but their faces aren't green.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
they're
the vulture.
green.
If it were the vulture, they would have said the old bird. Um, if it was Electro, they would have said Sparky. If it were Mysterio, they would have said they would have said Fishbowl Head or something like
Yeah.
that. So I mean, the green
right.
goo can only be one person. But anyway, instead
What
of
about
going
the
home,
jackal? Maybe this was an early appearance of the jackal. No, I'm just kidding.
no,
We don't want to confuse goblins and clones.
no, don't bring up clones. We don't have Zach here to tease. It's not as funny talking about clones when Zach's not here.
I know it.
But anyway. So anyway, he doesn't quite go home, so he goes to the Daily Bugle. And so the Green Goblin says, well, I'll just follow him around. I'll just like hang here in the air, and watch him, and nobody's going to notice or anything that I'm just hanging around. Nobody's going to call the cops, because there's a green and purple guy in a green and purple costume. Oh, speaking of green and purple and everything, snuggle time with Norman. All right.
Oh, hold that up.
Get this at Hallmark or whatever.
What are those called? I've got one somewhere. They're cute.
Itty bitties.
Itty bitties, that's right.
Itty bitties.
By the way, did you know they make a Kirk and a Spock itty bitty? They make the whole Star Trek line.
Yeah, but that's kind of creepy.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of creepy. But
you bought a goblin toy that I almost bought. It's I don't even have it with me. It's about this big, and they made a Spider-Gwen, and they made a Spider-Man, and they made a Norman, and it looked really cool. You showed it up a couple months ago. But anyway,
okay.
You still need to put that Alex Ross poster back behind you.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, go ahead. He's in front of Aunt May's house.
No, not yet. He's walking in the Daily Bugle. He's walking in the Daily Bugle because he's got photos that he wants to sell Jonah. He took photos of the whole thing at the Empire State Building, and so he walks in, and Ned Leeds is there, and Peter's going, crap.
Does he look like Gonky? No, he's got a green tie on. That may be alluding that the Stan and Romita wants you to think Ned Leeds is a goblin, but that won't happen until 20 years later.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so he sees Ned. He says, I don't want to talk to Ned. I hate that SO. But then but Ned's trying to find Betty because Betty has disappeared. And, So Ned and Peter start talking, and their relationship thaws out a little bit, and Ned's apologizing for getting, PO'd the other day and hollering at Peter or whatever. And so Peter says, oh, Ned's being nice, so I'll be nice to him. We'll forget the fact that I slugged a mannequin in the previous issue and said that I hated Ned Leeds, because the mannequin reminded me of Ned Leeds, so I slugged it.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was in issue number 38. And Peter walks by it's a bust or whatever, and it says that looks like Ned Leeds, and he hits it. So,
oh man,
he was angry. Just angry. He had some all these rage issues. But anyway, so Peter says, you know what, Ned, you can have that crazy psycho little girl all by yourself. And trust me, she's gonna put you through a lot of grief in later years. So Peter Parker is out of the picture. Wow, that wasn't just wasn't just a throwaway reference to himself there, because the Green Goblin was listening outside with a shotgun mic, and he heard himself call himself Peter Parker. So he said, I know his name. I know his name now.
Yep.
So Peter starts walking home, and then all of a sudden, he's always felt that something's wrong. Like the hairs on the back of his head are standing up. It's like something's still wrong. I mean, I'm not, anyway. And then all of a sudden, the Green Goblin shows up. And what is it? Oh, here, let me turn to that page. Let's see here. What does he say? What does he say
to Peter? He goes, correct, Parker, your web-slinging masquerade is finally finished. And so are you, Spider-Man. Let's see. Am I not delivering it? Like,
yeah, you're not quite delivering. It was just, no need to go inside, Parker. Yeah. I'll just have to drag you out again and beat the crap out of you again.
I've waited so long for this moment, but it was worth it. It was worth everything.
Your web-slinging masquerade is finally finished, and so are you, Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Then,
there you go. There
and
you
see
go.
if you could actually, it's a good thing that you can only, well, I was about to say it's we've got a shot here of Peter, and I'm kind of surprised that, well, this is black and white. You can't see that his pants just turned brown with the green. The fact that the green, I mean, but really, can you imagine? I mean, he's he's a young man. He's been fighting to keep his, trying to keep a secret identity, whatever. And this green goofball comes around and just says that, I know you're Spider-Man. So that must have been
Okay,
really,
Venkman in YouTube chat, I will leave the Goblin dialogue to JR. I will not attempt to do any more Goblin dialogue.
so,
But is this, if memory serves, is this the first villain that figured out who he is? In 39 issues, I think it is.
Yeah, in the regular continuity. Yeah,
So this
like I
is
said,
big.
I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how much where has been retcon, but yeah, this is huge.
Yeah.
Or as our president would say, huge. Well, he says huge.
Yeah.
Spencer does a pretty good imitation of him. Anyway, so they're fighting on the front lawn or whatever, and the Goblin's glider is belching out all this gas and everything like that, and and Peter's worried about poor Aunt May seeing us, and she's going to have a drop dead of a heart attack. But fortunately, the Goblin gas is clogging up all the windows, and so nobody can see anything. So, but anyway, so Spider-Man, Peter decides to try to bring an end to it, and he makes himself vulnerable, and the Goblin just zaps him with his little finger. He just sparkle blasts him, and then he throws a ghost on him, and it sucks the air out of his lungs. And then the Goblin wraps him up in a steel coil, and he flies away with him to his secret lair. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we're in the secret lair, all right, and the Goblin is, and the Goblin is playing with flask and chemicals again, because after all, that's what a mad scientist does, right? I mean, I don't really know what he's doing with these things, but he's playing with them anyway. So anyway, so the Green Goblin says, I've got you, and what's he say here? Since you'll never live to betray me to another soul, it's only fitting that you learn the identity of the one who has beaten you. Or maybe I should say, no, wait a minute, maybe I should deliver it like, you remember, I cannot be helped but be touched, But first, I wanted you to know who it was who had beaten you. I don't know whether I'll go with. I'll go with the.
That was like Shakespearean delivery, is what you were going for there.
Well, no. Don't you remember? Don't you remember a certain movie or whatever where the villain comes back from being in exile all these years, and he gets the hero's at his mercy or whatever, and he leans into and says, "But first, I wanted you to know who it was who had beaten you."
Oh, you're doing Khan. I got you.
Khan. There we go.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I spit at you with my last breath from the moons of something. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So
anyway, he says, wait a minute. Yeah, and so at long last, the Green Goblin will introduce himself. And of course, he takes his mask off, and Peter says, of course, I'd recognize you anywhere with that stupid hair. You're an Osborn.
Yeah.
Norman Osborn. And then
nice to meet you.
Oh, it's a classic. I mean,
well, my question to you is, where did you first read this story? Was it the actual issue? I don't think you were buying them in 1966.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I wasn't. No, it was. Yes, it was the actual issue. And like I've always said,
how did you pick it up? Where did you get this issue?
Well, I've told, this, I was say, I've told this story a number of times, so I don't want to sound like my wife's great aunt Verbena, and repeating my stories or whatever. But
or the Lady and the Tramp. Did I ever tell you about the old reliable used to say? Remember that from Lady and the Tramp? Okay, never mind. Love that dog.
Anyway.
39. You had the
39.
actual issue.
I had the actual issue.
How did you obtain it?
How did I obtain it? Well, I had saved my nickels and dimes or whatever, because I'm trying to think of when I bought it. It was sometime in the 70s. Anyway.
Okay.
Comic book store in Evansville, Indiana. The Book Broker.
Yeah.
And, they had, I had never seen old comic issues in my entire life. I mean, I'd never been to a comic store with a back issue bin, and so there was all these old issues there. It's like, oh, and I could just smell the rotting wood pulp. I mean, it was just, and it being in heaven or whatever, comic book heaven. I had my heart set because I knew what the issues were. I knew the issues that were the Green Goblin was revealed to be Norman Osborn. So I had to so I pulled up number 39 and it was $4.50.
Holy crap.
Yeah, $4. And see, I only had about $5 at the time,
Wow.
so, but man, $4.50 for a comic book.
Can you imagine paying $4.50?
Oh, it just
you paid $8 for ASM 25 just a couple days ago.
Yeah. So it's like, man, $4.50. But I'd saved up. I knew it was going to cost me, but I had to have it. It was that important. So I bought it.
How did you obtain issue 40?
I didn't.
You never had 40? You still have 39 on you?
I still have 39. Not on you. I don't have 40 because the issue number 40 at the book broker, the bottom corner was torn off.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, I wasn't going to buy it then, but yeah, like I've always said, I came home that day and, my dad, in one of his attempts to try to be friendly, said, "Hey, what'd you get at the comic book store?" I didn't get anything, Dad. Nothing at all. Because I didn't want to tell him I'd spent $4 on a comic book.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like,
I first read this story in Marvel Tales in the 80s. Is when I read it. McNulty just says, "I just pictured Spider-Man played by William Shatner and Norman Osborn played by Ricardo Montalban." Spider-Man 2, The Wrath of Osborn.
Yeah. Hey, Tevy's there. He must be on a vacation from Fiddler on the Roof. Oh boy!
At least the good news is Amazing Spider-Man Mick Spencer is really good. I would agree. It's good.
JR, JR, is that the first printing of Essential Volume 2? Yes, indeed it is. Yes, indeed it is.
I own
Essential number 2.
I never could buy those because of the black and white.
Well, they make, like I said, actually, this was the first time I had a chance to read some of these by getting, because when I started buying Marvel Tales, I started with, they were reprinting issue 69, which we were in the midst of this, the tablet saga.
Right.
And and then, when they started going around again, and then they stopped reprinting some of the old issues. So,
yeah.
But anyway, I mean, they make great resource material. I mean, in fact, and until Marvel Unlimited, they were the best ones to go through. So
I didn't ask you this. Do you want to do 40 or do you want to save it?
No, we're not. No, we like I said, we actually talked about 40 in great detail.
Okay.
On Fight Club, podcast number 452, the December 2016 issue.
Okay.
But anyway, I mean, because everybody knows what happens. I mean, there's a big massive fight or whatever, and then the Goblin gets electroshocked and he gets amnesia. And then Spider-Man says, "Well, I can't turn him in because he doesn't remember anything, and and everything will be okay." Which contrasted with Spider-Man Life Story, which came out not too long ago. He decided to drop a dime on Norman anyway and send him to jail. So anyway, after all this time, the Green Goblin is revealed to be Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
And Ditko, it's one of those things. Might as well address this thing. I mean, for years, it was suggested that
this is
what McNulty. I'm not teasing McNulty. I'm referring you to Spider-Man Crawlspace number 452, podcast number 452. And see, you'll get George in on that as well. So see here with the crawl space, we not only have continuity, but we have crossovers. Okay. So we cross over between Fight Club and Spider History. Anyway, for years, one of the rumors was that the Ditko and Stan had split over the identity of the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Which sounded fishy, which really didn't make sense at the time. But with the lack of anything else, since Stan didn't remember anything and Ditko typically didn't talk. And I think even in December 16, we talked about this a little bit. But since then, I think more interviews with Ditko surfaced.
Yeah.
And it's clear that Ditko intended Norman Osborn to be the Green Goblin because he said he inserted the character in earlier issues. And Norman is first revealed or first shows up in issue 37, but he actually first appeared kind of standing behind some guy in a chair at Jonah's club in issue number 22. And then he was in a later issue where I think he was placing an ad in the Bugle and Jonah was talking to him. So, but Ditko said in an interview that he put the Goblin as someone close to Jonah and then introduced the Goblin's son later. And I think in another interview that surfaced, he was even more explicit that it was going to be Osborn.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, when you go back to issue number 37, because I didn't think there were any hints that Osborn was a Goblin, because when you think about it, I mean, there were not a whole lot of breadcrumbs laid, particularly since Osborn was just introduced in 37. But in that issue, there's two things that happen. One is Osborn clubs Spidey from behind and knocks him out, barehanded. And then later, a high-powered rifle. Someone tries to shoot Mendel Strom with a high-powered rifle. Spider-Man goes to the window to try to catch whoever it was, and we see Spider-Man looking out, and we're clearly in a tall building. And Spider-Man's wondering how in the world, that guy got away so fast.
Yeah.
And then we see Norman Osborn with the rifle. Now, high-powered rifle was not the typical weapon of the Green Goblin, but there are two pretty strong clues right there that it was Osborn right away. Which again is kind of ironic though, because I have always griped about the Venom reveal in issue 300 that it was Eddie Brock and Venom was nobody we ever heard of, nobody we ever saw. But really, in a way, the Green Goblin was almost the same. I mean, Norman had been introduced just 2 issues before, and then he was revealed to be the Goblin
in the club, right? That Jameson invited him to.
Yeah.
So
anyway, so really, there's issue number 39, one of the most classic in your Spider-Man collection. If you're ever thinking about the must-haves, if you look over Spidey's long history, 800 plus issues of Amazing and various other satellite titles, this still has to be one in your must-have collection.
Yeah. Another classic. We're tackling annuals. I'm not sure this came out in August. But the annuals generally came out in the summer, if I remember correctly.
I think so. Yeah,
so,
right.
Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 3 has a beautiful looking cover of the Hulk grabbing Spidey, and he's just hitting him in the face, and the Avengers are rushing towards. It says, "All new Spidey faces the mighty Avengers, the Incredible Hulk." Enough said. So let me get to the credits, which you say I never do. Of course, written by Stan Lee, layouts by Romita, and pencils by Don Heck.
Yes, and I was just going to say, Mike McNulty, I don't think he met Peter in issue number 37. I'd have to go back, but I don't think Peter and Norman met at that issue. Because I think the first time they met was when they were in Harry's apartment. And Peter had agreed to be Harry's roommate, and that's when he introduced him to Norman, I think. So, but anyway, Spider-Man Annual number 3. I thought this was topical. I mean, one, I picked it because Brad likes to talk about the Hulk. And I kind of let him because the Hulk was my brother's favorite comic book character. So,
by the way, did you see the lack of hyphen on the cover? The Spider-Man special, no hyphen. What's that about?
I don't know. What is that? Hang on here. I got to check out my
top left Spider-Man special, no hyphen. On the cover.
Ready to become an Avenger. No, wait a minute. The Amazing Spider-Man King's. Yes, that's right. He's absolutely
no hyphen.
Right. Yeah, no
top
hyphen
left.
up here where it just says Spider-Man special.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a Chinese knockoff.
I don't know. All right. So, to become an Avenger. Don Heck was penciling Iron Man at the time, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
So
I'm trying to think. I think Don Heck the artist that Harlan Ellison insulted at one time?
I liked Harlan Ellison a lot.
Yeah, well, Harlan got pimped by Gary Groth, who hates everybody or whatever, and And I think there once Harlan was talking about hacks, and Groth just threw out Don Heck's name, and Ellison laughed and said, "Yeah, yeah," and he didn't know who Don Heck was, and so he, just hurt this man something terribly.
I saw Ellison at 2 conventions in the '90s, and boy, his panels, man, those were not boring.
No, and they weren't safe for work or for kids either, were they?
No.
I mean,
It was fun.
He was a force of nature, but he was just an incredible mind. I mean, he turned out a lot of stories.
City on the Edge of Forever with Star Trek too. How did we start talking about Ellison?
Well, we started because we're talking about Don Heck.
Don Heck.
So anyway, Spider-Man Annual number 3. Our story opens with the disorganized Avengers.
Yeah.
Now, you're going to find out, in this story, why they're the disorganized Avengers and why they desperately need a secretary or a butler. I don't know. Do they have Jarvis by this time?
I don't think they have Jarvis yet.
So anyway, so they're all just, the Avengers at this time consist of Cap, Iron Man, Thor, Hawkeye, Giant Man, and the Wasp, who are all there. Okay. But and Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch, but they're not there. They're not there at this meeting. So anyway, so the Avengers are all staring at this poster of Spider-Man. They're just all kind of looking at it and looking at it and looking at it and looking at it. And then, Hawkeye says, well, we got to stop looking at this picture of Spider-Man. Are we going to offer him membership or not? So anyway, so the Avengers, they're talking amongst themselves about, Hawkeye is for it. Hawkeye just loves his style. He's kind of, Hawkeye kind of feels a kinship with him because Hawkeye's a rogue and Spider-Man's kind of got a roguish side. So they all debate on whether or not they should offer him a spot in the Avengers.
Yeah.
And at the same time, oh wait, no, not quite yet, Okay, but anyway, so they figure, well, who knows Spider-Man? Who can tell us about Spider-Man? And Hawkeye says, I know just the guy. The guy who's fought both for him and against him. Let's call Daredevil. Of course, I kind of wondered. I said, well, wait a minute. I mean, if you really want an honest opinion of Spider-Man, why don't you call Reed Richards? I mean, wouldn't you call Reed Richards? I mean, Reed has run into him more than once. But anyway, so they call Daredevil. So can you imagine what Daredevil was thinking? Daredevil gets his summons, because they summons Mighty Avengers, and the Avengers. And so Daredevil walks in and says, oh, the Mighty Avengers, I could not resist your summons. Oh, you like me. I would be flattered if you would offer me membership in your mighty team the Avengers, no, we actually wanted to talk about Spider-Man. Daredevil goes, oh. So, I mean, can you imagine being Daredevil in this, you think they're going to offer you membership and they're actually going to offer.
I'm not that, I am not that familiar with Daredevil's Silver Age history, but I don't think they ever did offer a membership until Bendis came along.
Probably not.
I don't know.
See, the Avengers really, the Avengers were, this is what I always, the Avengers were not a team who, I think they felt threatened by heroes who always had their own titles. I mean, because when you think about it, the Avengers were have almost always from the beginning been a group of characters that couldn't support their own titles. Because when you look at the earliest days, and of course, part of this too, you have to remember, but Marvel published its comics. I think I should have looked. I should have checked the history, but they were limited to like 8 titles a month. When they introduced new superheroes
for the newsstand,
so when they introduced new superheroes, I mean, they had the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man and the Hulk, but the Hulk was quickly canceled after 6 issues. But like Iron Man started showing up, I think, in Tales of Suspense, and Captain America was also in Tales of Suspense, and Thor was in Journey into Mystery.
Yeah.
And then when the Hulk came back, he was in Tales to Astonish. But anyway, so none of these characters had their own title.
From what history I know, and YouTube people can correct me, was it Wally Wood who was penciling that first issue of Daredevil? Wally was running behind with Stan. and Stan had to get one of those titles out on the market. Like you said, they had 8 titles. They had to get them out on the newsstand, otherwise they'd lose one. And Daredevil was running behind, so he was like, "Why don't I just put all these heroes in a group, and we'll call them the Avengers, and that will take place on one of the titles that month." Is what the history of Daredevil and the Avengers is what I know. I think.
And McNulty says that Daredevil works alone, and he refused membership years later.
Yeah.
McNulty, Avengers is still comprised of heroes who can't support their own titles. I mean, that's a point. That's a point I made when I was writing my Spidey Kicks Butt articles or whatever, and I was talking about Spider-Man's team up histories. And I mean, the Avengers. It's like Silverclaw, Jack of Hearts, Cersei. What was his
Dr.
name?
Drew.
The 13-year-old. Who was a 13-year-old? Rage or Ravage or Rampage?
No, it's Rage from the New Warriors. Yeah.
Okay. And it's like
Sandman.
Who are these guys?
Sandman. You got what's that? Gilgamesh from Avengers 300.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Daredevil's just bummed out. I mean, and this is Daredevil before he was Frank Millerized. Okay, so so he says, well, I recommend Spider-Man. Yeah, he's a great guy and all that. So I mean, if you're not going to pick me, I guess you might as well go pick Spider-Man. So anyway, so the Avengers say, well, good, okay, well, it's all agreed. We'll go looking for Spider-Man. So they're all looking for Spider-Man, and Thor's the first one to find him. And Thor demonstrates what a boring, egotistical dullard that he was before Chris Hemsworth played him. So Thor offers, says, you have been summoned to the mighty Avengers. And he talks big and loud or whatever. I have spoken, And it's like, does Thor always announce what he does after he does it? It's like when he walks out of the bathroom, I have done my business. So it's like this, he always announced what he does. But anyway,
real quick in YouTube chat, they ask how many years between ASM 14 and this annual.
ASM 14. Well, ASM 14 was probably what, 64?
Yeah, I think so. So 2 years. 2
years probably.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, in issue 39 to come out, and Peter has the thing is in the annual, Peter has his bike. I'm trying to think. There's some other hints around the time frame. But anyway, so the Avengers and Thor finds him, and Thor gives him this big speech, and pretty well Spider-Man's kind of put off by by Thor's pompous attitude.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man goes, I don't know, I like playing by myself. I don't like and Thor basically decides to shame him. So Spider-Man, goes away. He thinks about it, and then we get this. He's walking home, and Aunt May says, "Oh, Peter, can you do me a favor? Can you go get my medication because I'm such a frail woman, and I can't do anything by myself right now. Although in a few decades I'll gradually de-age, and become, healthy and fiercely independent until I guess I get cancer, and we don't know what's going to happen to me then. But anyway." So Peter's sitting there, in the doctor's office, and he's thinking, oh, man, I mean, it'd be nice to be an Avenger. Everybody would love me then. Even J. Jonah Jameson would have to treat me with respect. Although we know that's not true. Because if you remember when he joined the Avengers many, many years later as a new Avenger, Captain America basically told Jonah, I want you to respect this guy. And he didn't. So, but anyway, so Peter said, but, the thing is, they probably send me on some dumb mission to fight some blue woman, who claims to be the sister of Thanos, when I really should be home studying, or I should be taking care of Aunt May. And, so he's really, but then he kind of says, you know what? Maybe this is my destiny. Maybe this is why I have these powers. Maybe I can accomplish more in a team than I could by myself. So I'll do it. So anyway, Spider-Man swings to Avengers Tower, which is given to them rent-free by billionaire Tony Stark. What a guy. What a guy.
Can't escape that Stark.
So he walks in, and everybody's nice to him. Everybody's nice to him. And then all of a sudden, Spider-Man says, "Okay, this is going to be a test, right? Whose butt do I got to kick?" And Hawkeye just says, "Yeah, come on, fight me. I've been looking for action for a long time." And then Captain America says, "No, this is not that kind of test." And it's like, Spider-Man's going, "Well, what kind of test? What kind of?" So let's see here. Yeah, what kind of test is there to join a fighting team? And the Avengers say, "We haven't figured that out yet." So, so anyway, the Avengers spend all this time.
Do you notice that wasps hate spiders, but the wasp during the whole time is just, I hate this guy.
Yeah. So. Well, Jan gets what's coming to her about 200 issues later in the Avengers. But anyway, anyway, in fact, we're going to make a reference to that before long. Anyway, Lord. so well, we haven't figured that out yet. I mean, here you go, Earth's mightiest heroes.
Without a clue. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you have no procedures for new membership. I mean, you think this is such an important thing. You think this is a great honor, and you have no procedures for new membership. Yeah. Way to go. So anyway, so Spider-Man's, kind of getting a little irritated. He's young. He's 19 years old. He's a little irritated, and of course the Wasp says Spider-Man looks angry. And I'm thinking, how he looks angry? His whole body, his face is covered by a mask. Yeah. How is it? What, body language? But anyway, so Spider-Man's getting, and then Iron Man, Iron Man has to be a douche, instead of saying, "Well, could you step out a bit and we'll kind of talk amongst ourselves?" Iron Man says, "Well, if you'd step outside and stop breathing down our necks, maybe we'd think of something." Well, wrong thing to say to Spider-Man. So Spider-Man's already kind of on edge.
Yeah.
But then he gets this wild idea that maybe this is what they want me to do. Maybe they want me to fight them, so he just decides to throw a few punches and a melee breaks out, and then Giant Man says, "Well, swats him with his hand. Usually I save this for Jan, but anyway, but I'm going to
the thwap.
Well, I'm going to whack. So anyway, so he whacks Spider-Man and the Wasp zaps him and anyway, Captain America then finally breaks it up, and actually kind of proves to kind of break the tension, though. Everybody was kind of kind of had a lot of starch in their shorts, and this kind of this broke the tension. Although nobody really comes out looking good in this. I mean, when you think about it, because Spider-Man kind of comes across as like Spider-Man, a little mouthy, a little immature, a little hot-tempered, but the Avengers come across as a bunch of elitist. I mean, just incredibly smug, high on themselves. I mean, it's like this. I mean, this isn't a club that's. I mean, it's pretty apparent this isn't a club that Spider-Man would feel comfortable with. Anyway.
And as a Spider-Man reader, it doesn't make you like the Avengers or want to go read their titles since they're so smug.
Yeah, they're very high on themselves, and I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, I mean, did the Fantastic Four need to kind of come and teach you guys I mean, and here's the thing: Spider-Man was Spider-Man before Thor got his hammer, before Stark put on the Iron Suit, before Hawkeye dressed in purple.
Yeah,
before. Although there's, I think Ant-Man and him did kind of exist around the same time. I think Ant-Man was actually created fairly.
It was. Yeah.
He didn't have his own title, but he was. Like referenced in Spider-Man.
Did you have a favorite team of the Marvel Universe?
Yeah, the four, the Fantastic Four.
Same here, and it's the recent movies that made the Avengers so popular that the comics followed it. Yeah,
Robert Downey Jr. I mean,
when I started reading Avengers, it was which was a very bad time of the Avengers. It's around issue 300 where Cap had the black suit. And he had Gilgamesh on the team, and Reed and Sue joined. I thought that would be interesting, so I picked that up. But around issue 300 when I started reading Avengers.
Now, Venkman said Jarvis has been around since Tales of Suspense 59. Well, I have
there you go.
I have no frame of reference for when Tales of Suspense 59 came out relative to this annual, but maybe somebody will do some research for me. Anyway, okay.
So they send them on a mission, right?
Well, hang on.
Sorry.
So anyway, they calm down or whatever. And anyways, I was saying, the Avengers are pretty high on themselves, and they're so. But so then they say, Iron Man said, "I have the perfect test. We'll send him after the Hulk. Send him after the Hulk."
Iron
You
Man
know,
couldn't beat the Hulk. What? Come on.
so Spider-Man says, all right, and of course, Captain America said, well, he's the world's mightiest mortal, and I'm surprised Thor didn't register a protest, but anyway, so Hulk's pretty tough, and of course, Spider-Man's thinking, yeah, he's tough, but he's dumb as a box of rocks. I'll have him on a leash, drag him here, and so as Spider-Man goes swinging off, and the Avengers goes, hey. Shouldn't we have told him why we wanted him to bring the Hulk to us? Oh, yeah, I guess we should have. Well, okay. And then Thor says, let the test commence.
They are clueless in this, aren't they?
So yeah, the Avengers aren't looking too good. I mean,
No.
they really aren't. So anyway, the Hulk, Iron Man says the Hulk has been seen in town, which is true. I'm sure you can't miss the Hulk when he drops in. But Spider-Man swings around, can't find the Hulk for a while, gets thirsty, and decides that he's going to stop in and avail himself of Jonah's water cooler. And then while he's and Jonah's complaining and calling the cops and complaining about Spider-Man being there, but then Frederick Foswell, formerly the Big Man, soon to die protecting Jonah at the hands of the Kingpin, says, hey, the Hulk has been spotted at the Gamma Ray Research Center.
Well, that's convenient. I know where that is.
Yeah, that's convenient. Wow. Right in, well, we don't have too many, this is, well, you know what? This is an annual. They should have taken more time. But anyway.
No, this is a classic.
So Spider-Man, swings to the Gamma Ray Research Center, and there's the Hulk. And so Spider-Man starts fighting the Hulk, but then kind of realizes that he's in over his head, and the Hulk is just throwing him around like a rag doll, and then the Hulk punches a wall in the Gamma Research Center, and then all this, then he's bathed in gamma rays. Now, Spider-Man is saying, Hulk, go away, that's all gamma rays, and I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. First of all, the Hulk punches a wall, and gamma rays burst out. It's like, okay, I mean, there's
don't
think
about it too much.
Yeah, it's like, and then like if gamma rays are just flooded, I mean, it's not like radiation, like is like a gunshot or whatever, and just like radiation. So like, where's Spider-Man in all this? Isn't Spider-Man getting bathed in gamma radiation too? Probably.
That'll happen in Web 6970.
There we go. So it happens later. Maybe it gives him some kind of latent thing. Yeah. And then all of a sudden the gamma rays they hit the Hulk, and then Doc Bruce Banner, pelted by gamma rays, changes. Well, he originally changes it to the Hulk, but then he changes the Banner. And Spider-Man says, "Ain't he unglamorous?" So he says, "Oh my gosh, you're the Hulk. You're Doctor. You're really Dr. Bruce Banner, one of the premier atomic scientists in the world." Now, the question I have to, this is the first time that Spider-Man learns Banner is the Hulk. Now, At this time, obviously, the Hulk's identity is not known.
Correct.
Widely. When did that happen? Does any? Well, you're a Hulk fan.
Yeah,
when did that happen?
That happened later in Tales. Probably around issue 80 or
Did the Avengers know at this time that he was Bruce Banner?
No, they didn't.
They invited him to join the Avengers in issue #1 without knowing who he was.
Correct. Yeah.
Without knowing that whether or not he was human or really green all the time.
I don't remember him ever changing to Banner in the Avengers first 4 or 5 issues. It was he tried to keep a secret identity, and it was Thunderbolt Ross around issue 80 to 90 that Thunderbolt Ross had him change right in front of him, or he did change right in front of him. So, but yeah, this is the first time Spidey learns who the Hulk is. Okay,
so anyway. So Spider-Man says, "Oh man, this really sucks. I don't want to drag this. And then Banner starts changing the Avenger to the Hulk again, and Banner says, "But I don't have my full strength for the first few minutes." So he changes the Hulk, and then Spider-Man clubs him and knocks him. I don't know, he doesn't quite knock him out, but he staggers him. He knocks him down.
Yeah.
Now, is that really possible? I mean, to me, it seems that even the Hulk, was that ever like a theme throughout the Hulk that he didn't quite have his strength for the first few minutes of the transformation, or is that
Oh,
something convenient Stan came up with for this
I
particular
I
story?
I think Stan came up with that, but it helped move the plot along, didn't it?
Yeah. So anyway, so he webs the Hulk up and he says, "Boy, I'm really feeling guilty about this. I mean, this guy needs help. He
Yeah.
doesn't need those elitist, smug jerks. Being mean to him. So he decides to let the Hulk go, but the Hulk doesn't need his help. Busts through his webbing and walks away. And
Yeah.
Spider-Man feels sorry for him. He says, "Oh, the dumb brute's probably already forgotten I was here." So swings back to Avengers Mansion, and he says, "Well, I couldn't find him. I couldn't find him. So goodbye." And then the Avengers all say, "Wow, gee, we just wanted to help the Hulk, blah blah blah." Well, that would have been handy to know a little earlier, but anyway. So, but to be honest, at this time, Spider-Man doesn't belong in the Avengers.
No.
Um, Besides the fact that they're all a bunch of characters who couldn't support their own titles for a while. But it's obvious that Spider-Man is just too young and unrestrained and too independent,
Mm-hmm.
and just would not he would not fit in at all.
Boy, I guess the argument could be made he was a bit independent at the very end of Homecoming of the movie, because the Tom Holland version is allegedly this age, I think.
Well,
So he
as
he
George,
did, he did turn down membership at the end of Homecoming.
yeah, well, as George would say, "That's not my Spider-Man."
I know. But
But no, it's and the Avengers are like they're a pretty regiment. I mean, well, they're disorganized. They could use a good
mm-hmm.
secretary.
Yep.
But it's just not a good fit. Wouldn't be a good fit.
Yep.
Although Spider-Man would fit on the Fantastic Four.
I agree. Yeah.
So the thing is, though, they tease Spider-Man's membership. They do it during Stern's run, and then the government won't let him, because the government pays the Avengers bills, so the government won't let Spider-Man be an Avenger. And then they make him an Avenger in space when they're fighting Nebula, which, by the way, Nebula has hair, So when did Nebula go bald? I don't know.
314 is around when I think John Byrne was writing the book at that time.
Yeah,
Avengers.
And so they make him an Avenger right on the spot, kind of like a battlefield promotion.
They made him a reserve Avenger in the 90s, I remember.
Oh, yeah. So, and then Captain America, when they all get back to Earth, Captain America says, Spider-Man doesn't look very confident, or Siren looks like he's staring out into space. And so Captain America goes, "Spider-Man, I don't think you belong on the Avengers. You're staring out into space. That means you don't have what it takes." Yeah. And Spider-Man says, "Yeah, I guess you're right. So I'll just go home and see my hot wife,
and I can support 4 books and you can't."
Yeah. So, and then they make him a reserve Avenger.
Yeah.
They put him in a class with Sandman, and
I remember that.
Sandman has the same Avenger status as Spider-Man. Roll that around in your head a few times. And then finally in New Avengers Spider-Man becomes an Avenger, which for the first year I thought New Avengers was a great book. I mean, I really enjoyed reading it, and I liked the fact that they were kind of more down to earth, like Cage, for example. He wanted to make a big show of showing up in Detroit, and things of that nature. And then it went off the rails when Civil War.
I can't name one thing Spider-Man did in Bendis's Avengers besides just try to sell books.
He really didn't contribute.
He didn't do much. I remember him fighting ninjas with Spider-Woman. That's about it.
The best Avengers story with Spider-Man was actually Straczynski when he did that 6-part tale with Hydra or whatever. I think that was the best Spider-Man Avengers story.
Why don't I remember that one?
What
did he do with the Hydra and the Avengers and Straczynski's run?
Don't you remember? This is after Molten Man Jr.
Oh, I hate that story.
Yeah, torched Aunt May's house. And so Tony Stark offers Peter and Aunt May and Mary Jane a place to live.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm sure probably caused one of George to have an aneurysm. That's when they're all introduced to the Avengers.
Yeah, I remember that.
And start living in Avengers Tower.
That's right.
But then Hydra has this plot shoot a bacterial agent into like the an aquifer, underground aquifer or whatever, and poison the United States water supply or whatever in the Midwest. So anyway, that was, and then we got into the other. So
no, the other, yeah.
So between the other and Civil War, Spider-Man's time in the Avengers was just not very memorable.
Yeah. So the question I ask at the end of these, was this a good month in Spider-Man history? August of '66.
This was an awesome month. Obviously, I mean, of course,
it's two milestones.
The Green Goblin reveal, and then his first meeting with the Avengers, the first the first time that he kind of has a dalliance with whether or not he should be a member or whatever. So both of them are classic stories.
And yes, Adam in YouTube chat, JR does indeed have a deep memory for the books. That's why he's our Spider historian.
Well, I had to have, girls didn't like me. I had to do,
one of them did.
Well, but she doesn't anymore. That's why I'm down in my, that's why, guys, I'm no longer in my mother's basement. I'm in my own basement.
You too can aspire.
You young people, you too can have all of this someday.
That's funny. Okay. Let's do you want to take a break or you want to keep going?
I can keep going if you can. I mean,
I heard from George he's not going to be able to make it. The internet there, let me see what he said. There's a junction unit down in his area and they're replacing it tomorrow. Says he's not going to have internet until tomorrow. So I apologize, YouTube. We are not going to have Fight Club with us. So
but don't leave. I don't want to follow.
21 people don't leave. We're going to do September Spider history, so you can hear more of JR in just a second.
All right.
So let me pull it up. Let me close.
Okay, let's let a month go by now.
Wait a minute. I'm going to pull up my stuff first. Okay, here we go. Let me get a drink. Pretend 30 days have passed.
Yeah, JR is going to do. No, I can't do Fight Club. I can only do George once a month or whatever.
Give him a backwards ball cap. That's funny.
Where is? Oh yeah, I got it right here. I guess I could do
from last month.
You know what we should do? We should do a Venom issue. That's right. We should make up a Venom
issue from the Ultimate Universe. How about we do that?
Yeah, we should do a Venom fight. And
save this for April of 2020 for April Fool's Day.
Well, we're going to do a Venom fight. All right.
Oh, that's funny. All right. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
September 78, right?
September 78.
Okay. All right. Coming down 3, 2. Hey, Crawl Spacers. Welcome to our September Spider history with JR. What's going on, JR? Long time no talk.
Oh, I know. I mean, and I am just ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go back and relive my teenage years.
How old were you in 1978? Because that's September 78 is where we're going.
Well, if I was in my 30s at the time, but no, I was 15. I was 15 years.
15.
15 years old. The same age you was bitten by a radioactive spider.
I was 3.
Yeah, so, I forgot to announce last month that welcome to another edition of Spider History, where JR was the only one alive at the time.
Yeah, I wasn't alive in '66. Yeah. So let's start off with Amazing, like we do. Issue number 184 came out. This one is it's the White Dragon, right? White Dragon, Red Death.
Dragon.
And on the
JR
cover,
is 16 years old. I had him. You're 40. Wow.
Okay. So you don't see much from the White Dragon anymore, but he evidently tied Spider-Man up, throwing him into a burning pit. On the cover of 184, it says Marvel's TV sensation. So we must have either the Electric Company we're referencing or Nicholas Hammond. I think it's Nicholas Hammond.
Nicholas Hammond. Yeah.
And Marv Wolfman, editor and writer, pencils by one of my favorites, Ross Andrew.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is. I tell you, boys and girls, the Marv Wolfman run is a great run, because like I've said before, it seems that something was always happening. Now, first of all, I want to say this month is dedicated to Bertoni.
Okay.
And you'll find out why it's dedicated to Bertoni fairly shortly. But anyway, you got to remember here. This is issue number 184. The prior month, Mary Jane turned down Peter's proposal. So you've got to remember that, because that is just weighing over Spider-Man. This whole, that Mary Jane turned down his proposal. So he walks in to his apartment, and there sits Betty Brant.
Yeah.
Who invited herself in.
Yep.
Without any warning.
Married Betty Brant, right? She's married. She just got married a couple issues ago.
And she got married in issue 156.
You're right.
So anyway, which was the same issue, by the way, that the mysterious vagrant was in, but whose identity you wanted to know ahead of time. But anyway, so and there's Betty. Betty, and Peter's going, Betty, what are you doing here? Huh?
Hey, married woman.
Are you and Ned back? Did Jonah bring you back? And Betty says, no, I left Ned. Oh, that's too bad, Betty. So anyway, I mean, Betty is a horrible person. I mean, this is just another instance, that Betty's a horrible person. And let's see here. So then Betty starts like dropping hints, But anyway, I said, but Betty, what are you doing here? Well, I got to Paris, France, and Ned was always leaving me on assignments by myself. So I'm there with all these French speaking people, and it's like they don't learn English, and I try to tell them that I'm an American, and in my presence they should speak American because we got to save them during World War II, So I can't understand French. They won't speak English, even though I tell them they should, because, that's the way we won the war. And so I came back home, or came back here, Peter, and, maybe, with Mary Jane dumping you and me leaving Ned, maybe things are working out for us. Oh, yeah, crap.
Just that hint of crazy in her eyes, right?
Crap.
She broke into your apartment. You ever had a girl break into your apartment, JR? No, it's never happened to me either.
No.
Oh, I was going to say, you didn't answer. I'm like, and you must have then. Did you ever have a Betty Brant girlfriend?
No.
I don't think I ever had a...
They're all...
Oh, okay, go ahead. Keep going.
I brought that one back.
Yeah.
I brought that one. I brought that one back.
You self-editor.
Oh man.
Oh,
anyway, so Peter's thinking, gotta get rid of. Oh, Betty, I have graduation practice I have to go to. Betty says, "Good, I'll go with you."
Oh my gosh.
So, anyways, so they go to graduation practice, and Betty says, oh, well, this is kind of fun, because Betty asked Peter, he says, well, Peter, what are you going to do when you graduate college? And Peter says, well, I can't get a job, with only a bachelor's degree. So I guess I'll have to go to grad school, and because I really need to get my PhD. And Betty says, Dr. Peter Parker. That has a ring to it, doesn't it? And Peter says, yeah, it does. Yeah, and I think I know an easy way to get a doctorate without doing any of the studying myself. I'll just let Doc Ock take over my body, and he'll get the PhD for me. And that's exactly what happened.
Peter Parker has to be the longest running student of all time. In 1978, he graduated college. In 2019, he's still in college. Can you imagine how much student loan debt he has?
Yeah, he knows that if Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders becomes president, they'll wipe it all out anyway.
78, 88, 98, 2008, 2018. Yeah. He's in school 40 years, JR. 40 years of student debt. What's the math on that?
Didn't you know? I mean, you knew professional students back in your time, right?
40 years students. What's that? Here, let's do a little math. What's the average cost to go to college? Don't you? You should know this better than I do.
Well, it depends. Are you going to public school or private school?
We're going to go to public university. What, 20 grand? 20 grand?
Well, in Ohio, when my daughter was going, it was anywhere from $10,000 to $12,000 a year tuition, and
12,000
that's not counting room and board.
times
Uh,
40 years.
yeah,
Peter owes $480,000 in student loan.
$500,000. And
He needs to sell more pictures to the Bugle.
yeah, it's kind of funny. We had a situation here where I live, where the former superintendent, was fired for dipping into the a fund that he wasn't supposed to, but he used it to pay off his student loan debts.
Oh my gosh!
It was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wow.
I mean, it was for his advanced degrees and then his teaching certification.
That's awful.
I'm thinking, how in the world do you rack up for a non-physician, for example, hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt? But anyway, I know how you rack up tens of thousands, but hundreds of thousands, no. But anyway,
Dr. Peter Parker, we're cut to Jameson.
Anyway, so Betty says, "Hey, Peter, look, there's a sullen token Asian sitting there in the auditorium by himself. Shouldn't you go and talk to him and kind of advance the plot along? Because otherwise we're not going anywhere." And Peter says, "Oh, that's Phil Chang. We don't like him, because he didn't talk to anybody. He's unfriendly or whatever, and he just sits and broods."
Is he a spec character?
This is Phil Chang's first appearance.
Okay, so Peter hates him on his first appearance.
He became a spec character because he was later brought back. He was one of the group of TAs that Peter worked with at Empire State under the tutelage of Dr. Sloan.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, right now Phil is just an angry young Asian. So Peter tries to say hi to him or whatever, and Phil decides to go all David Carradine on him.
Kung Fu, baby.
And Peter says, "Whoa," and Phil says, "Oh, I'm sorry, got a lot on my mind." And let's see here. So anyway, so Phil's got a problem, and he doesn't want to talk to Spider-Man about it. I mean, he doesn't want to talk to Peter about it. So anyway, Spider-Man is swinging around Chinatown because he's agreed to meet Betty for a date in Chinatown.
Why, Peter? Why?
He's wondering that himself. Anyway, so Spider-Man has this brief fight with a bunch of Chinese gang goons. Okay, so he has that fight because these guys show up later. But anyway, so he goes for his date with Betty at a Chinese restaurant, and Betty. See here, Betty reaches out to him. Let's hang on a second. I got to get the.
I want to hear your Betty impression when you read the.
Well, no, I can't do Betty, but it's just the language, the way she talks here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This ought to be good.
Peter, I just can't express what being here with you means to me. And she grabs his hands. For the first time in months, I feel happy to be alive.
Peter goes.
And Peter is going, and Peter's crazy sense is going on.
Crazy. Some men are not given crazy sense. His Peter tingle's working though. I've made JR Facebook with the essential. I'm sorry. His Peter tingle. Shall I never say Peter Tingle again?
Boys and girls on the YouTube chat, is Brad done now? Is he done now? Can I get back to the story?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Anyway, so Betty is, like I said, Betty's just, and the funny thing is, because actually I'll save this for when we talk about Spectacular. Yeah. So anyway, Peter is like, bad news. And then their waiter comes, and guess who the waiter is?
Conveniently, Phil Chang.
Phil Chang.
How convenient, man.
And then Peter said, and then Peter says, "All right, since you tried to chop my head off with your hands, you owe me an explanation for what's going on." And so Phil starts to I don't think Phil tells. Hang on a second. I don't think Phil tells him the story yet. I have to be sure here. Oh no, he doesn't. He doesn't. Uh, but he's starting to warm up to Peter. But then the White Dragon walks in, and this guy, uh, yeah, he's a D-list villain, and he looks it.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, he's a D-lister, all right. Um, can you just imagine this guy walking into
No.
with the big lion head or whatever?
Like I said, I like Ross Andrew. I don't know if he designed this costume, but it looks like one of those Japanese dragons that are in parades.
Or it is like the Chinese New Year or whatever.
Yeah, Chinese New Year's. It just you floats down the street. That's what he was trying to go for, I think. But
so
look at his underwear. I mean, look at the dude's drawers, man. He's got like a bow tie.
Yeah,
on his underwear.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Is.
But so anyway, so he kidnaps Phil Chang. All right, and Peter throws a spider tracer on him. All right, to follow him. Well, it works all too well. Spider-Man tracks them all down to the this abandoned warehouse, which I guess in the 70s there were a lot of them in New York because they're always going to an abandoned warehouse. And it's kind of funny. I mean, I've been to New York a number of times.
You never see those.
This was in the 70s. Of course, this was in the 70s. I didn't first go to New York till the early 90s, but and back then I remember that because New York was still kind of a slum back then.
Yeah.
But like I said, for the most densely populated part of the United States, you never see it. Nobody's ever conveniently around to see any of this stuff that goes on. Yeah. So. Anyway, Phil is they've got Phil because Phil has history, which anyway, I'll go ahead and say what it is. Phil has history. He used to be a gang member in Hong Kong. One of his enemies, they found him and they tried to kill him and threw a grenade in his house. He survived, but his parents didn't, and he was overwhelmed with guilt. And he took a vow on his parent, to never raise his hand in violence again, or may his parents' spirits haunt him forever. Okay, yeah, I mean that's. What interesting religion you're anyway, but whatever. So he can't do it, on his parents' graves or whatever, or his parents' spirit. He can't join a gang. And they say, well, you got to join a gang, one of these 4 Chinese gangs, or Spider-Man. They've got because what had happened? Spider-Man burst in, started fighting with the White Dragon, and then the White Dragon scratched him. And the White Dragon's claws had drugs. Spider-Man. He passes out, wakes up, and he's chained, up. And he's above a vat of oil.
60s Adam West Batman style, yeah.
Exactly. I remember that episode. Batman and Robin were hanging there. I think it was the Riddler, wasn't it?
Probably.
But anyway, then what the White Dragon does next issue is Spider-Man falls in and he zaps it, turns it on fire or whatever. But anyway. So Phil says, I can't join the gang, Spider-Man, I'm sorry, but you're, my pledge to my dead parents who are really dead and, they're not there. Their spirits aren't anywhere, but my pledge to them supersedes your life. So, sorry that I'm going to watch you be boiled alive, but, got a promise to keep. So anyway, but that ends the issue. And then the next issue, 185, obviously Spider-Man escapes. To be honest, I mean, the White Dragon is a D-lister at best. Yeah. Spider-Man easily defeats him. And then the second half of the issue of 185 is the real story where Peter sort of graduates college.
He needs that PE credit.
He needs his gym credit, so he attends the ceremony, but he doesn't quite graduate.
They've asked in a YouTube chat if White Dragon ever appeared. Evidently, JR, according to Wikipedia, this is White Dragon 2. White Dragon 1 was introduced in Iron Man number 39. He was created by Jerry Conway and Herb Trimpe.
Iron Man had a tendency to fight Chinese villains, right?
He did.
The Mandarin.
So after this appearance, it looks like according to Wikipedia, the next time this guy shows up is Marvel Team Up 144, where Spider-Man, it says a gang was started in Chinatown where White Dragon has killed the leader of the Tiger's Claw gang, which also wanted Philip Chang to join up with them. White Dragon then smoked Philip and his uncle out of his restaurant. In the nick of time, Spider-Man arrived with Moon Knight to help Philip. White Dragon then beat up Philip. Then, when he refuses to fight back, and Spider-Man prevented the bombing of the restaurant, White Dragon was then defeated by Moon Knight, who discovered that White Dragon was working with the Kingpin to seize control over Chinatown. So that was Marvel Team Up 144. And then White Dragon appeared in Spec Annual 12. It was a backup, probably, story with the Prowler. The Prowler worked with his brother Abe in fighting a gang of criminals that were attacking homeless people. Abe took a knife to the leg protecting Prowler and sent him after the last gang member. White Dragon stepped out of the shadows to attack Abe. When White Dragon was about to use his fire breath on Abe, he is shot in the arm by a homeless man named Shark. Not Tony Stank. White Dragon dropped his mask and ignited an incredibly incendiary device, which caused a diversion enough for him to escape. And then, as if we have to wait until the Dark Reign storyline. Mr. Negative killed some of White Dragon's men in Sunset Park to gain control of Chinatown. And that happened in Dark Reign, Mr. Negative #1.
Another miniseries I never read.
You never read that one?
No.
We've got The Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, Volume 2, number 1 to 4. Evidently, Shang-Chi goes up against White Dragon. But wait, JR, White Dragon 2 is not enough. There is a White Dragon 3. A third White Dragon appeared to where he led his henchmen into a gunfight with the Owl's gang. White Dragon and Owl were brutally beaten up by the superior Spider-Man Doc Ock's mind in Peter's body. The remainder of White Dragon's gang then evaded capture, were recruited by Goblin King to join the Goblin Nation in Superior number 10. You remember that one?
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah,
I remember that one.
There is your history.
Yeah, White Dragon never got above a D list, no matter what.
He never did. It was he was so forgettable. I don't remember any of that.
Just a straw man for the heroes to beat up. Adam, I haven't forgot about movie night. I'll bring up movie night pretty soon.
Movie night? What are you talking about?
Well, we'll get to it. We'll get to it
in this episode.
Yeah, in this episode.
Okay.
All right.
So I was just talking about Moon Knight. He's in this Spec issue that came out this month. Spec number 22, written by Bill Mantlo, pencils by a very young Mike Zeck, who introduced Spider-Man's black suit. Go ahead.
Vinkman, that is a different episode. Zelda the Great, played by Ann Baxter, did kidnap Anne Harriet, had her spin it over, but Batman and Robin, I think, were in the earlier season, or earlier. I think the Riddler had them suspended, so a different episode. But I do remember Zelda the Great, because Ann Baxter is I always had a soft spot in my heart for Ann Baxter after that incredibly hammy performance in the Ten Commandments. I mean, that is that's a classic in overacting. Anyway,
Spec 22.
Spec 22. All right.
Got Moon Knight on the cover. Marvel's TV sensation again.
Yeah.
Enter the Moon Knight. This is probably one of Moon Knight's early appearances.
Well, this is the first time that Spider-Man and Moon Knight ever meet.
Yeah.
So what we got going on here is Moon Knight is interrupted a gangland shooting. All right, because this guy, his name's Lindy. He's decided to turn evidence against the Magia. Okay. So they're going to rub him out. Well, Moon Knight. Moon Knight. You know, Moon Knight wants to find out the identity of the new Big M. You know, the leader of the Magia, the new Big M. So he's hoping that, you know, this guy Lindy will lead him to him, but this guy Lindy gets killed. But before he gets killed, he get on his death, you know, he says, Moon Knight, you're screwed. The Magia already knows that you moonlight as some moonlights as a cab driver.
Have you ever talked about Moon Knight on this show? Because I don't remember.
Moonlights as a cab driver.
Just call him Mark Spector.
Just don't get me to talk about Star Fox. I'll really have trouble with that one.
Moonlight.
Knight says it. So anyway, the Maggie has figured out that and they I think that later his Moon Knight's pilot tells him that they got the Conquer Lord's files. And that's how they figured it out. But anyway,
do you remember the his pilot Moon Knight's?
I'm
we're going to talk about. Okay,
talk about that a little bit.
Moon Knight trivia, if you will.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so Moon Knight calls his pilot Frenchie.
Yeah.
Frenchie is from France.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you, but this truly bothers me. I mean, suppose that he had a Japanese pilot.
Oh.
Is he going to call him?
Yeah, he won't.
Okay. Or is he going to? Or if he was from China, would he?
No, he wouldn't.
Black Jack Tar called Shang-Chi Chinaman. Hey, Chinaman.
Wow.
So but
this is 78. But that the Frenchie thing has kept to this day. They still have his pilots called Frenchie. Yeah.
Does he still talk like whenever they say that whenever it's a French person talking, everything begins with Z's, Z-E-E, Z this, and Z, so anyway. So, okay, Frenchie.
How many pages? We just went 7 pages until we get to Spidey.
Frenchie, the French pilot. Well, we're trying to sell, we're trying to puff up Moon Knight. We use Spider-Man to try to promote all these B-list characters. Although Moon Knight's got a lot of fans out there.
He does. Have you heard who they're thinking about casting as Moon Knight? Keanu Reeves. I think that'd be kind of cool.
I don't know. Keanu's Keanu. I mean, they just ought to create their own hero for him, Super Keanu or something,
Okay.
Anyway, so Peter, Peter references the prior issue that he and Iron Man were in Jersey the prior issue, fighting Mickey Rourke.
Marvel Team Up 72.
Yep, they were fighting Mickey Rourke and said, "Man, this guy's got a face that looks like he's been put through a few rounds," and so anyway, whiplash, whatever. So anyway, so Spider-Man's getting back, and he's got to remember his date with Betty, and Betty just invites herself in again. Betty just invites herself in again.
Oh my gosh!
And they're going to the movies. Now,
this is date number 2, Pete. What are you thinking?
Date number 2. So anyway, so Peter says, well, and just to show you the time that it takes place, Peter says, let's go see Star Wars.
I saw that in Paris
with Ned. Let's see Close Encounters. I saw that in Paris with Ned. And as Adam Winchell, see, I have to call him Winchell because another Adam showed up, Adam Shingle.
In the YouTube chat, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Winchell brought up the fact that during Slot's run, he established that Peter and Betty had a movie night every week. They would get together.
40 years of movie
and watch
nights.
DVD movies.
Oh my gosh.
This doesn't seem like it. There's a little incongruity here. But anyway, the thing is, though, Peter and Betty get in the cab, and they're thinking about their exes at the time. So
don't forget about Miss Muggins.
Well, hang on.
Miss Muggins is yelling at him.
Yeah, I know Miss Muggins. Yeah, Miss Muggins has issues. Miss Muggins got hard.
I want to see Muggins again.
She's had hardening of the arteries since she was 12. But basically, some plaster fell. Peter, he busted some plaster or whatever, or the I forget what happened. He left his skylight open, I think. Rain came in.
The skylight.
The plaster fell off, and so he patched it back up, and then it collapsed again. And Miss Muggins is threatening him. But like I said, Miss Muggins had hardening of the arteries since she was 12. She's been drinking since she was 8. So anyway, they decided to go to a Chaplin festival. But here's the thing about I remember Bertoni with the Betty Brant is a horrible person thing.
Yeah,
and of course, I never really thought about it back in the time, but when you think of this, Betty is constantly trying to get into Peter's pants. Peter Parker's pants.
Peter Parker pants and Moonlight.
Yeah, Peter. But and it's like, and so finally in issue, I think 190, finally he gives in. He finally gives in.
Right.
So what does she do then after that? After she bugs him about it, he gives in. She promptly then tells Ned.
I know.
Ned
She's
shows up.
insane. By the way,
Ned shows up in issue 193 and clocks Peter. And
clocks him, yeah.
it's like,
Dude
God,
can't win.
She is a crazy woman.
Adam,
But
I think I don't think Miss Muggins is kindred, by the way, Adam, in YouTube chat. Maybe Betty Brant is finally going to go evil, JR. Maybe Betty Brant is kindred. There you go.
Oh, they did. He's called John Wick. Yeah, you're right. They did create a superhero for him. That's right.
John Wick. Those movies are great.
Oh, okay, Venkman, boiling wax, not flaming oil. Okay, now you're splitting hairs here, okay? Jeez.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. Oh
Anyway,
my gosh,
but
this
it's
is
funny.
the issue with the Shashan and Flash.
This again, the famous sandwich issue.
Tony went off on this one, didn't he?
He went over. So anyway, so Shashan is bringing Flash's study, and Shashan, another sandwich, my love. I just don't. Again, this is one of those things when it happened in 1978 you didn't think about.
No,
but in 2018-19,
yeah,
where you have an Asian woman deferring to a white man or whatever, it just
stands out, man.
All kinds of bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just looks all kinds of bad,
Mm.
So anyway. We check it on our supporting characters, and then we check it on Hector Ayala, who's also White Tiger, because White Tiger was a supporting character till about issue number 50. So anyway, White Tiger's having girl problems. And then we go to Jake Lockley, who is Moon Knight's moonlighting cab driver identity.
That was good.
Jake has this diner that he always hangs out at.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Maggie's goons have shown up, and they tell the proprietor of the diner, "Where's Lockley?" And then of course he walks in and he says, "Lockley's here, crud." And of course the goons just start shaking in their booties, being called crud. Lockley's here, crud. So Spider-Man happens to be swinging by just out of coincidence. And he starts thrashing the goons, beating them up or whatever. But the thing is, Lockley doesn't want Spider-Man to beat these guys up because he wants them to either get away or take him to meet the Big M. So Spider-Man screwed up his plans. But one guy gets away. Lockley changes into Moon Knight, starts beating up the guy. Spider-Man, of course, in one of his fits of self-righteousness, "Oh, you're beating that guy too much," and he thinks Moon Knight's going to kill him. Was Moon Knight a killer? I mean, Moon Knight wasn't a Punisher type, was he?
Well, he could. I don't remember him specifically killing people, but I don't think he had a code like Batman does about not killing.
Okay,
but
Adam Winchell, White Tiger. I did say White Tiger, didn't I? I hope I didn't say call him the White Dragon. Hector.
Oh, I don't think so.
All right. Anyway, so Moon Knight's beating information out of this guy, and Spider-Man gets all up in his face about it. And then Spider-Man and Moon Knight have their cliched superhero misunderstanding fights. Okay. Well, then this goon gets away, and he goes to a payphone to call the Big M. All right. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, why didn't he just use his cell phone? Oh, yeah.
78, man.
We don't have cell phones. But anyway, but then Wolverine shows up. You know how I know Wolverine shows up?
Why do you know? Oh, do we have a snicked?
A snicked.
Ah.
There's a snicked in there. And that's one of those, what does Dark Mark call those words?
Onomatopoeia.
He has some big word that sounds like a laxative or something.
It's an onomatopoeia. It's not a made up word. It describes words that make sounds.
Well, I mean, it sounds like a laxative, but anyway. But snicked. So apparently Moon Knight's little bats make the site or moons. He throws moons at people.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if he just dropped his trowel? That's his moon. Maybe
But
that's his superpower. He moons people. That's what Moon Knight does.
yeah, he can't throw bats, because Batman
No.
throws bats and Goblin throws bats, so he throws
Yeah.
little moons at people. Who hit you with one of my moons?
His costume is a trench coat, and he goes around and moons people. He's the
Yeah.
Moon Knight.
So anyway, it says snicked.
Schnicked. That's the sound effect they decide to use.
Yeah. So, well, here's the thing: the bad guy was able to call the Magia, and they sent a supervillain, Whirlwind. No,
Yeah.
wait a minute. It wasn't Whirlwind.
Cyclone.
Cyclone, who's a French villain because we know he's French because he says Z all the time.
Yeah.
Z.
The Magia is truly international in scope.
This is the end of you. So anyway, that's the conclusion. Cyclone shows up. And then the next issue, basically meaningless fights. They wind up in Grant's tomb. They beat Whirlwind, Cyclone, whatever his name is.
Was Cyclone in Far From Home? Was he one of the elementals?
Well, that was why I was referencing the Whirlwind. I think someone thought he was Whirlwind but then the creator said he was Cyclone.
Got it.
But anyway, the thing is the new Big M is in the shadows making an appearance, and a couple issues later we find out that he's the Masked Marauder. And 2 issues later kicks off the one of the classic Spider-Man stories, the first Carrion story.
Oh yeah,
and a very good Daredevil team up. Right. So anyway, but 23 is the second part of that story. 24 is the Hypno Hustler.
Oh, we've done that one, haven't we?
Yeah, we've done that one.
What's funny is to read the letters pages. In this issue, it says, "Dear Bill, Sal, and Archie." This is a negative. Every now and then they would write a negative one inside the letters pages, and this one's a negative. The original premise of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, by the way, it's written by Jeffrey Lowndes in Scranton, Pennsylvania. The original premise of Peter Parker, the Spider-Man, was to focus more attention on Spidey's lackluster alter ego. May have been inspiring while on the drawing board, but some 18 issues ago. But did we really believe that the title could be anything more than what it is? Has since become, quote, exploration without representation. In the past year and a half of Spec's existence, Spidey has been deluged? What's the word? Deluged? D-E-L-U-G-E-D. Deluged with the flotilla of boring superhero guest stars like the White Tiger. Why do I hate Kung Fu characters? Razorback. Why do I hate CB radios even more than I hate Kung Fu characters? And
you're a hateful racist.
And the Angel and Iceman, not to mention horrible villains like Lightmaster, the Hitman, and the Man Beast. And still, nothing happens to Peter Parker to fret the readers of Amazing Spider-Man that they might be missing something. Peter Parker's characterization has been sorely neglected and stifled in favor of a more team-up-oriented Spider-Man vehicle, while surprisingly, Peter has stolen the show in Amazing Spider-Man. Talk about your turnabouts and fair play. When the next issues of Peter Parker and Amazing go to press, why not just switch the logos? It makes a heck of a lot more sense. I wonder if that guy Jeffrey in Scranton, Pennsylvania is still reading Spider-Man. Probably not.
Well, if they wouldn't have printed his letter if he was still reading it, because they didn't, they wouldn't print anything but slot praising letters. Adam says that Adam Winchell, I have to call him Winchell because there's a shingle, that I'm French Canadian and we don't talk like that. But you talk like Celine Dion, right?
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
Team Up 73 came out in September 78. You want to do Team Up?
Hang on. Just actually, by reading that letter, you brought up a point that I was going to make.
Okay.
The letter writer actually is not wrong, because when Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man came out, that's exactly how it was promoted. It was going to be Peter. It was going to be Peter Parker centric. And his complaining about the lackluster villains, it took Spectacular 2 years to find its footing.
I would agree.
It was
the Carrion stuff, right?
The Carrion storyline, because then after we got the Carrion storyline, well, Bill Mantlo, Bill Mantlo wrote the Carrion storyline, and then he put Peter in grad school, and that's when Spectacular kind of found its niche by following Peter in grad school.
What are we in the 40s? Because Roger Stern came on about the 50s, I think.
Yeah, we're in the 30s when.
So it took about 30 issues before Spec got good.
Yeah, it's so yeah. Spec did take a while to find its identity. Conversely, Webb never did. I don't think Webb ever found.
Webb was good when Conway was writing it, and Alex Savick was on it, and you had that Spider-Man Hobgoblin drunk story. You had, what's sad when you go to Marvel Unlimited on Webb, you just see how it's part 3 of a crossover, part 1 of a crossover. Yeah, I agree about Webb. I think Alex Savick was wasted on Webb. All right, you want to do Team Up 73?
Yeah, Adam Winchell, Mantlo's second run on Spectacular after Stern was awesome. Absolutely. That's with Mantlo on Spectacular and Stern on Amazing at the same time. Very, very good era for Spider-Man.
I agree, Adam. Webb had some good issues every now and then. There was a good issue of Webb that I liked, mainly because, again, Spider-Man and Hulk. Webb number 7, where Nightmare captures Spider-Man and the Hulk or something, and every other panel he's in a red suit, he's in a black suit. Red suit, black suit, red suit, black suit. I remember that Webb issue. Okay. Team Up 72, right? No, 73. 73. Spidey and Daredevil, written by Gary Friedrich and Kerry Gamble on pencils.
Now, Gary Friedrich, wasn't he the creator of Ghost Rider?
Yeah.
I think he died. He
died recently. They had a memorial in there, Marvel, for him.
So anyway, our story opens in Marvel Team Up with Peter Parker visiting the offices of Nelson and Murdoch.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, Matt does some pro bono work. So that's what. So Peter has shown up, and he's talking with Matt because he wants to set up provisions to take care of Aunt May in case anything happens to him.
He knows that issue 400 is coming.
Yeah,
amazing.
So, but the thing is, so he's talking to Murdoch, and then Murdoch hears something, and he recognizes it as the Owl's helicopter.
Okay.
Now, I guess the Owl has a distinctive sounding helicopter.
Well, maybe he heard his heartbeat. By the way, real quick, do you see what sound effect they use for Daredevil's Billy stick or what Billy Club? When he attaches it to a something, instead of thwip, it's THWIT. Thwit. Thwit.
So with a lisp.
Yeah.
So Daredevil's Billy Club has a lisp.
Go ahead.
So anyway, so Murdoch says, "Oh my God, that's the Owl's helicopter." Okay, I thought the Owl was dead. Oh, so he gets up and he leaves. He tells Peter, "Oh, I'm sorry. You were here looking for a freebie. I'm sorry. I don't do freebies anymore. Bring a fish the next time. Okay, bring a fish as payment." Reference, guys. You know what that was reference?
Penguin.
No.
What?
The Ben Affleck movie. Remember?
No.
When Jon Favreau as Foggy tells Ben Affleck's Daredevil that the guy brought it fluke in. You know what fluke is? It's a fish.
Oh, so, wow. Anyway, deep cut.
Anyway, so Jon Favreau, that's just the art.
I forgot he was Foggy. I don't know why I forgot that. He was.
Well, it's funny. He's much more significant now. He's big as a director and producer. Yeah. So
and he's trying to get with Aunt May.
Yeah. Trying to make time with Aunt May. But anyway, what's funny here is Murdoch, as he's changing to Daredevil, says, and he recognizes that the person who was sitting across from him was Spider-Man. You're sitting right across from a guy who your super senses tell you is Spider-Man. Who else has a heartbeat that strong? So here's what happened. He never learned his name. So Peter walks in to Murdoch's office. They probably shake hands, sit down, and don't introduce each other.
Because
I mean, does that make any sense
no,
whatsoever? I
no.
mean, you know, you know, but I guess that's why in Secret Wars #1 they made up for
Oh,
it because
stop.
that's all
Stop.
that issue is everybody introducing each other.
Stop. Get
You know,
back to
so,
the issue.
but then of course then Matt comes up with another great line. Why did you know? Because he basically you know when he hears the Al's helicopter, he gets up and he quickly leaves. You know, and
JR, you
Peter's thinking,
frozen.
"I have." Oh, actually, you've frozen. I think I have. We might have lost the connection. I don't see you anymore. So you guys can see me, but you can't see Brad. So the problem then must be on his end. Okay, so you can see me. Uh he just may have to call me again. Yeah, I'm the only one in the I'm the only one in the chat box. Okay.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can get JR back in here. Copy. I've never had this happen during a live stream. Let me see if you guys can see me up on the YouTube channel. Yeah, you can. My webcam's a little crooked. JR is gone. I will invite him back. Hold on a second. The live stream was back. There you are, JR.
All right, we're back. We've been unsnapped.
My internet just died. But then when I go back to YouTube, I've got this. It's still streaming. So there we go. We lost a few, but we're pressing on.
Yeah, that's right.
That was weird.
We're almost. We're almost.
Where were we? We're Daredevil and
yeah, we were talking about Daredevil. Daredevil recognized that he was talking to Spider-Man, but apparently he and Peter, met, shook hands, sat down, and never bothered to introduce each other.
Gotcha.
And then I made a Secret Wars joke, and you didn't like it or whatever.
And then the internet didn't like it, JR. That's what happens when you insult Secret Wars.
I see.
I get kicked off the internet.
So Peter was already kind of curious because a blind man quickly moved or quickly ran away without bumping into anything. And Matt figured that he kind of screwed up as well. And he makes a true 70s reference. Why did you blow your cool and make an exit like Bruce Jenner running the decathlon?
Reads a different way in 2019, doesn't it?
I guess it's better that he didn't make like Caitlyn Jenner, because that just would have been completely wrong for the late 1970s.
Yeah.
So anyway, Daredevil's going looking for the owl. The owl gives us a story about how Daredevil thought he was dead because he fell off his helicopter and dropped into a frozen lake. And this is kind of interesting because when you think about the old comics, when the villains came back, there was always an explanation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh my God, how do you survive? Well, and then the villain tells the story in a flashback. Now they just show up. Yeah. Now there's no explanation, or they just show up again. Yeah. So anyway. So the owl, tells us that, how he fell into the lake, and he was rescued by his goons, and he had some severe neurological damage, but he was healed by a doctor who becomes important later on in the story. Anyway, so the owl is like, Daredevil. This is really important to Daredevil, really personal. So anyway, so Peter decides, well, I might as well go swing around and play Spider-Man. Well, at the same time, the owl is trying to set up Daredevil. He's sent a bunch of his goons to a store in the Diamond District in New York City to steal diamonds to get Daredevil's attention. Well, it gets the wrong superhero's attention because it gets Spider-Man's attention. So Spider-Man comes in and he starts kicking butt or whatever, and then Daredevil shows up. And Spider-Man, takes great offense, saying, what am I? I don't know. What am I, a girl? I don't need any of your help. I don't need your help. So we get more superheroes squabbling and fighting or whatever. So they argue a little bit and the goons get away. But see, Daredevil wanted him to get away because he wants them to lead him to the owl, which they do. They go into New Jersey. Mm-hmm. All right. They reach the owl's hideout. After Spider-Man gets shocked, they get in after some distractions, they beat up the goons or whatever, but then the owl reveals that he has kidnapped the scientist who helped cure him, and he's going to kill him if Spider-Man and Daredevil don't surrender. And then in an utterly, it's almost like they realized, or the writer realized, that he has only one page left to finish up this story. Remember, kids, remember, kids, at this point in time, comic books were only 17 stories were only 17
Oh,
pages.
yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
So they're down, and it's almost like they realize they're down to one page and they have to wrap it up. So
Yeah.
Daredevil, we find out that Daredevil is trying to get the Owl riled up so that he could, distract
Wrap
the
the
Owl.
story up.
Yeah. But then Daredevil, is trying to so he said, why should I help, save that doctor? I mean, if he helped you, then he's obviously got to be a bad guy, and the Owl goes, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. It takes great personal offense at that for some reason. And then the professor says, yes, it's right. I'm the Owl's partner in crime, and the Owl goes, that's a lie. The Owl goes, no, you liar. Like he's 5 years old. You liar. So this guy is a supervillain. Okay. This guy is a middle-aged supervillain, crime lord. And he says, you liar.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't believe it. But anyway, but then the Owl collapses. My head splitting, pounding. Argh. Okay. And then we got 2 panels left to tell the rest of the story. So the scientist says, you see, Daredevil, I knew you were trying to agitate him to get close to strike, and I decided to help you. All right, now we got 1 panel. Okay, then after, and this is literally it. This is Boys and Girls, another edition of Is JR Making Shit Up?
Not.
Then, after a rather lengthy explanation of how the Owl had been medically restored to life after his fall through the ice, and then the doctor says, so he finally became overexcited and it caused a neurological pacemaker to short circuit, leaving him a vegetable. Shall I call the police now? And then Spider-Man goes, as soon as I split, see you, Dee Dee. And that's it. That's it. It's like, so they're going through this, it's like they got 1 page to wrap up the story. And then it's like they realize they're down to 2 panels.
Gary,
and then
Frederick, man.
And then the last one, after a rather lengthy explanation, because we don't have time for it, because we went 17 issues. So anyway, so the Owl is left a vegetable, but he gets better because he's got to appear on the Netflix Daredevil show.
That's funny. Hey,
but he's also got to show up for the Owl Octopus War in Spectacular.
It teases the next issue. I don't think we've ever reviewed the Marvel Team Up 74 with the Saturday Night Live crew. That would be kind of funny with Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. We should probably do October 78 next month. What do you think?
Well, we certainly can.
That'd be kind of fun. Because I don't remember you talking about Saturday Night Live and Spider-Man meeting.
I'm trying to think here. That will be a different story. Well, October 78 though. That's the only new. Because October 78 would be the second part of Spec 22 and 23. It would also be the second part of the White Dragon. So it wouldn't be original. But I don't know. Maybe sometime we'll capture it.
Okay, that'd be a fun one. Okay, let me see what else came out in 78. We got nothing but super stories left, right?
Spidey super stories? It said Spidey super stories.
35. We got 2 issues that came out this month, evidently, which is rare. Which is rare according to Spider-Fan. Maybe that's an error on their part. Let me see here.
I don't know. I don't think Spider-Fan made errors.
Well, let me look. Let me look here.
Let's see.
Yeah, well, it looks. Let me look at this a little bit.
JR, could you tilt your camera down a bit?
Oh yeah, you got a lot of headroom.
Yeah, I got a lot of headroom. Thank you, Venkman.
I can't tell when this issue came out.
No, yeah. They're really, Jonathan. There's nothing memorable about this issue whatsoever. I mean, other than the fact that it tries to wrap up the entire story in 1 panel. It is a very unmemorable issue. It really is. Which Marvel Team Up was. I think one of the writers on critics on Spider-Fan said that it was Jerry Conway's unwanted homework assignment, and that's probably as good an description of it as any.
Well, you know what? I'm looking at the fine print that you see at comics. Both these issues came out September 78, according to the fine print here. So 2 issues of Spidey Super Stories in 1 month, original.
Yeah, let me see if I can bring it up here. Alrighty.
Issue 35.
Issue 35. Yeah, Spidey Super Stories. You know, it's a fondly remembered run when Spider-Man was routinely appearing on the Electric Company.
Yeah.
Oh, and this issue, and I was getting them. Did you get all the issues, Brad? Or
You know what? I don't have all the issues. I have a lot of them. I actually had a subscription to it around issue 40-ish or something. It stopped with issue 57. It was not bi-monthly,
it became bi-monthly eventually.
bi-monthly. Yeah, it was every 90 or every 60 days. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Spidey Super Stories. And Winchell says there's no October issue for Spidey Super Stories. So
that's interesting.
yeah.
Sure,
Yeah, it was, and I quit buying them after 24 because
really?
well, the regular comics raised their price to 35 cents. I had to cut something back, you know. I mean,
yeah,
it's just, but it got pretty tiresome. But anyway, the Spidey Super Stories number 35, Shauna saves Spidey, and the inside cover gives you the scoop on J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
All right. Panel 1, JJ is the editor of the Daily Bugle. Panel 2, he does not trust Spider-Man. Who is that masked man? Panel 3, everyone loves him except me. Okay, and supposedly he's at the Daily Bugle offices, but there's Harry Osborn.
Yeah.
So when does Harry Osborn start hanging around the Daily Bugle?
Who knows?
All right, Shauna's New York Adventure. Yeah, yeah.
That sounds like a dirty 70s movie.
Yeah, Shauna's New. So there's a rampaging elephant.
Yeah.
You know, and the elephant snags Spidey. And is about to step on him.
Yeah.
The bad guy says, "Squash him, Jumbo." And Spider-Man says, "I've been hard pressed before, but this is going too far."
Ding, ding, ding.
And then Jumbo, stop. It's Shauna, Queen of the Jungle. You know, so thanks, Shauna. Shauna says, "Take me to your master." Sure, lady, but don't hurt me. So anyway, so Shauna, the bad guy, and Spider-Man ride the elephant through New York. They go to the zoo.
Yeah.
Ooh, and part 2 is Madness at the Mall. Okay, so some crazy, maybe it's Clivenden from the cartoon or whatever. Remember him?
No.
You know, so he's using his animals to rob, to commit robberies. Okay, he's got a gorilla. Yeah, the gorilla. Oh, I see here. He steals money, and he has it put in a bag. He tells the gorilla to hold it. The gorilla dumps it out, and he says, "You idiot! Put the money back." Well, the gorilla stuffs him into the bag. So,
and there was a gorilla on the Electric Company, if I remember correctly.
Paul the gorilla.
Oh my God, JR.
Paul the gorilla. I mean, Jennifer of the Jungle.
Man, that's crazy.
Jennifer of the Jungle. I used to watch the Electric Company.
I did too, but I can't remember Paul.
So anyway, so Shauna and Spidey capture the bad guy because Spidey puts on a gorilla costume. Okay, everybody, you see that? Spidey put on a gorilla costume. So he's wearing a costume, and then he puts on a costume, and then we have to we get a Beware the Night flyer.
Looks like Kite Man from Batman.
And the Godmother, or it looks like, you know,
playing off of the Godfather. Spider-Man's in a tuxedo.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he's dead center of the panel.
Oh no! Yeah, yes, he is. Spider-Man is in top hat and tails.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, I don't know. I think I'm going to. I don't know if I'm going to interest too many people. And let's see here. Who is the Godmother? She's serving pizza.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's.
Wow! Wow! That panel looks suspicious. Spider-Man. My spider sense tells me the price of that pizza's rising. That panel, man, is not appropriate, Spider-Man, in your top hat and tails. I think that's a meme. I've seen that before.
Oh, I see what's happening. What's happening is the Godmother is putting a whole lot of pepper on these pizzas.
Yes.
Okay, and so when they turn around to sneeze, she picks their pockets.
That old line,
dastardly here.
Yeah.
All right, and then she takes the money and goes to play cards.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So Spider-Man busts into the card game, says, "Listen, lady, I saw what you did outside." And she says, "Please don't send me to jail." And she says, "I need money to feed my baby." See, and she brings a baby. She's got a baby. Okay. "I am the baby's godmother." She is, "But why did you steal money?" "My friend is sick and can't work. It seemed like the only way to help." So anyway, Spidey say he has a bright idea. So what happens is he helps the godmother set up her pizza stand again, and she says, "I'll never put pepper on a pizza again." The end.
Yeah. But then cut to Peter and Mary Jane making out.
Yeah, Peter and Mary Jane making out in a comic book intended for preschoolers. All right. Or middle schoolers or elementary schoolers or whatever. So, but you notice though, their lips aren't touching. Okay.
What?
Their lips aren't look close.
Yeah, you're right.
Look
you're
closely.
right.
Their lips are because Mary Jane is turned over to the side and
he's getting the cheek.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, we're not kissing on the lips. Don't want to kiss on the lips. All right. Well, the night flyer flies by. Spider-Man decides to chase him. "Hey, you're too old to be flying kites." Hey, Captain America guest stars. Yeah. See, the night flyer kicks Spider-Man. Spider-Man's out of webs. He run out of web fluid, and he falls. He starts plummeting to his death, and Captain America catches him.
Yeah.
Just like that. Because he's after the night flyer too. So they both go after the night flyer. They go to Grand Central Station.
Yeah.
I've been there a few times. Night flyer is a nut. He'll blow up Mount Rushmore unless he gets $1 million. So anyway, Captain America and Spider-Man, they take a train. They take the train. It looks like, I wonder if they're going to make it to South Dakota. Yes, they do. They take the train. I was about to say, if they're taking Amtrak, it's going to take them a long time to get there. That is, if Amtrak even goes to South Dakota or North Dakota or one of the Dakota. Where's I've never been to Mount Rushmore. Which Dakota is it in?
I don't know. Anyway,
so they capture the night flyer, and then the last page, or the interior of the back cover, the wit of the web slinger. We get the wit of the web slinger. All right. What's red? See, here's the joke. What's red, white, and blue all over? Let's see. There we go.
Yeah.
Me, Captain America.
Yeah.
And that's the joke. That's the joke, boys and girls.
All right.
Spidey Super Stories number 35.
And also 36 came out this month. Let's take a look at that one.
Let's take a look at this one.
The lizard lives.
Oh, the lizard's back. Okay, a real villain this time.
Yeah.
Ooh, look out for the lizard. Dr. Connors is a really good man, but accidents can happen. Oh no, I'm changing. And the lizard lives. So the story's called Leaping Lizards.
Jim Salicrop, Karras, and Julie Miskin. Took 3 people to write this damn thing. Pencils by Winslow Mortimer.
Yeah, I can't make fun of Winslow Mortimer's name. I got lectured on the one of you YouTubers. I don't think, well, I shouldn't say you YouTubers because he's not with you apparently, but gave me a hard time for making fun of Winslow Mortimer's name.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. So anyway, so Spider-Man, he sees a girl being dragged into the sewers, jumps down into the sewers, and it's a lizard. All right. Anyway, the lizard beats Spidey and throws him back up to the surface. So he goes, I've got to get the lizard cure. So he goes to Dr. Connors' wife. And she says, all right. She lets Spidey into the lab. And Dr. Connors has 3 bottles with cure on them. All right. Spidey says, which cure is the right cure? I'll take them all.
Oh my.
Now I'm off to see the lizard.
I'm off to see the lizard, the wonderful lizard of Oz.
Well, but Martha Connors notices that Spidey took the wrong bottles.
In 50 years, can you imagine how many times Martha Connors has been said, your husband's out again? You got a cure for him? I've only got 3 bottles left, sir.
Yeah, usually when someone goes to a woman and says that her husband is out again, they mean he's stepping out, not that he's changed into a giant lizard.
No doubt. Well, she'll eventually die and get eaten and be cloned. It's all good.
Yeah, but so Spidey, he's taking the wrong cures, so he goes down and he throws one into the lizard's mouth, but the lizard then turns into a giant turtle.
What?
Wait till I get my jaws on you. Oh, wrong cure. Oh, and then Spidey throws another cure into, and he turns the lizard into a dinosaur.
The lizard turns into a turtle?
The lizard turns into a turtle. Spidey goes, wrong cure. He throws another cure into his mouth.
And he's a dinosaur.
And he turns into a dinosaur. And the dinosaur says, how do you like my new look? Once a lizard, always a lizard. But now we know... Now we know that the dinosaurs weren't necessarily reptiles. They were more birds than reptiles.
Didn't know it in 78, though.
No, we didn't know it in 78. We didn't know it until Sam Neill told us in the mid-1990s.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Man, this is rough.
So anyway, he's thrown 2 wrong cures at him. Oh, and then he throws a 3rd wrong cure at him, and the lizard becomes a giant. Just like the Stay Puft Marshmallow
or like Godzilla.
Yeah, that's true. Godzilla is probably
like
better
lizard.
Analogies. Now I'm really the king of the reptiles. I'm having a smashing good time.
Yeah.
Oh, I can do. Well, why chase Spidey when I can do the monster mash?
I have to stop that Jolly Green Giant, Spider-Man.
Anyway, so the lizard, Spider-Man goes to the World Trade Center, and the lizard starts crawling up the World Trade Center.
Oh, my. Oh, he's standing between the 2 buildings.
And he's standing between the 2. Now, if boys and girls, you may remember, or I don't know, because in the 1970s, remember, I think it was 77.
King Kong,
the remake, the first remake of King Kong by Dino De Laurentiis' group. I'm trying to think of, Dino De Laurentiis. And the promotional posters were always the King Kong with one at the World Trade Center, straddling the World Trade Center. It was Jessica Lange's first movie.
Yeah.
She was appropriately dreadful. And the movie was appropriately dreadful as well, because they only had.
And who was the guy in it that you loved to quote from a certain Iron Man movie?
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges.
But this was
King Kong made the Twin Tower.
Jeff Bridges when he had hair, and actually he looked like. In fact, he looked like the young. The young dude. Then
the young dude. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember. I remember loving that movie as a kid. I don't think it holds up still, though.
So anyway, Mrs. Connors comes in. She's flying, and the police are flying Mrs. Connors in a helicopter.
I wonder if this is Thanos' helicopter that he used previously in Spec. I mean, in Spidey's.
No, the police repossessed his helicopter. They repossessed the Thanos copter. She says, "Time to take your medicine, lizard." And she throws it. He turns into Kirk Connors. He starts falling off the World Trade Center. Spidey catches him, swings. Thanks for saving me from myself, Spidey. And the thing is, Spidey didn't do anything. Spidey threw the wrong cure 3 times at him. But he's thanking Spider-Man. He's thanking Spider-Man for saving him. And Martha says, "It's Doc I love, not the lizard." The last panel, Spidey waving goodbye, saying they'll live happily ever after.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Until he eats her and the kid.
And then well, she dies of cancer. It's Billy he eats.
Oh,
No, Martha died of cancer. Remember, that was
I blanked shred out.
That was the plot. That was the plot of Spider-Man. Life Story? No, not Life Story.
It was something Life, I think. But it was
the Steak Woman. It was the computer. It was the computer generated comic book.
Yeah, I remember that. I forgot she died.
Of
all the places to die in a Windows 95 generated computer comic. But anyway.
So anyway, we meet Plant Man. Meet the Plant Man. The Plant Man likes to talk to his
quality
plants.
of life. Adam says on YouTube, quality of life. That's right.
Quality of life. Thank you.
That's the miniseries name.
Our rescue.
Yeah.
So Lizard becomes Gamera. Well, it wasn't a giant turtle. It wasn't. It was just kind of a big. It was like one of those Easter. What is it? The Cook Island turtles or whatever. You know. Anyway, so Plant Man is obviously starring in a remake of Little Shop of Horrors because that looks exactly.
Feed me.
It looks exactly like number two. What was her name? Ellen Greenplater. Wasn't Lydia 2, was it?
Oh, I don't remember.
Audrey,
that's right.
Audrey and Audrey 2. The plant was Audrey 2. Yeah. Anyway, the next story is Spidey and his friends from the electric company. Yeah. Because there's nothing, there's no group of people a superhero likes to hang around more. A bunch of
Morgan
people
Freeman,
in educational TV.
Yeah.
Ghosts and goblins. So they're at a seance.
With Aunt May at the table.
Yeah, Aunt May is at the table. So Aunt May is at the table holding hands with probably Fargo North. We can't see him from the front, but anyway, Fargo North. So let's see here. So they go to see a fortune teller, but the lights go out, and then Aunt May realizes that her best china is gone, and the everybody's wallet is gone. Oh no! Look who shows up!
Green Goblin, man!
The Green Goblin has showed up. He's teamed up with a fortune teller. Oh,
story of the Goblin. You don't know?
Norman has fallen on hard times. Norman is now
the fortune teller.
Norman is teaming up with a fortune teller. It's the Green Goblin.
No,
I should have known better. Wait a minute. Maybe the Goblin was dressing as.
Oh, let's find out.
The Goblin was dressing as the fortune teller. Oh no.
This is the issue where Norman cross-dresses.
He cross-dresses. Oh no. Oh, this is horrible. This is just terrible. I
hate to break it to you, but Norman was more cross-dressed in Spidey's stories.
I'm so ashamed. I could never read a Green Goblin story. Yeah, I'm never writing an article on this Green Goblin story. Oh no. I just can barely conceal I can't conceal my shame. Oh, so he goes after the Green Goblin who's flying away on his glider. The Goblin reaches his hideout. Now to count all this loot. So Spider-Man shows up in a sheet.
Oh no, Spider-Man, don't do that.
He shows up in a sheet and he goes and scares the Green Goblin to death.
What does Spider-Man say to the Goblin?
The Green Goblin gets on his knees.
Don't.
The ghost makes him promise to give all the money and the china back.
And what does Spider-Man say to Norman? Let's have a loot. Let's have the loot,
Madam Green.
We're gonna call Norman Madam Green from now on.
This is horrible. I want to cry. I just want to cry, boys and girls.
Adam,
I don't want to.
It was definitely not Harry under the mask. It was Norman.
I don't want to continue.
Oh, we're almost done with this issue.
I have to continue. I got 9 watching. Look what you've done by making us go through Spidey Super Stories. We're down to 9. Anyway,
the tease of this episode is: did you know that Norman Osborn cross-dressed? That will be the title of this episode.
Well, I don't know. This isn't quite as bad as that, but in the story, the Plant Man in the Garden of Eden.
Oh, wow.
All right. They're at a flower show.
What's the name of the flowers?
Peter Parker's Poppies. All right. My poppies can't miss. And Mary Jane says, I hope you win, Peter.
I like it when you call me Big Poppies. P-O-P-P-I-E-S.
I've always wanted to win. Oh, if Peter wins, we'll be front page news. This is Mary Jane. We'll be famous. And Peter goes, I always wanted to win something. I hope nothing goes wrong. But Plant Man steals his poppies. Aunt May goes, Peter, your poppies are gone.
So's your mommy, because
Now I'll
left
never
you
be a
and
winner.
left her, Peter to Aunt May. My poppy's
And
gone.
Aunt May says, "Never mind, dear. It's all for the best. You weren't cut out for planting anyway."
Oh my God.
Well, Peter is taking it personal. You don't, run off with Peter Parker's poppies. You know, you do not steal Peter Parker's poppies.
And it's nice to know that for this episode for kids, Mary Jane got back with Peter and got rid of Betty Brant in this month. Finally. Anyway, back to we've never seen Spider-Man grow a plant ever.
So so Spider-Man goes after Plant Man. Mary Jane is confronting somebody. What did you do with our poppies? And this guy goes, "Where's my prize bachelor button?"
Excuse me?
Oh, where's my prize bachelor button? And an asterisk, a bachelor button is a kind of flower.
Oh.
But anyway, Mary Jane doesn't realize that. She just says, "Oh, button your lip." Aunt May gets on a megaphone and says, "Stop this silliness." Lost my place here.
Stop. What we need here is
Aunt May with a megaphone. All right.
This is trippy, man.
Then she gives it to Spidey. Spidey gets on the megaphone and says, "We need help." Why does he need help? Mary Jane asks where Peter is. Mary Jane talks to Spider-Man. Plant Man is tricky. It's time to follow him. He must be up to something bad. I know he doesn't like flowers that much. So anyway, Plant Man is planting a garden. So he's taking Peter Parker's poppies.
And Moonlight.
And what he's going to do is he's going to turn Peter Parker's poppies into dust. All right. So that will knock the whole city out. So anyway, he turns the Peter Parker's poppies into dust. He makes everybody fall asleep in the city. Oh, and then he sees Mary Jane. Plant Man goes, "There she is, the girl of my dreams."
Of course.
So anyway, so Spider-Man gets there. Where did he go to, and where are my poppies? Okay, it doesn't matter that Plant Man kidnapped Mary Jane. Spider-Man is worried about his poppies.
Yeah.
So
wait for it. It gets better. Spider-Man passes out. Yeah.
Plant Man wants Mary Jane to be Eve to his Adam.
Oh my God.
They'll live in the Garden of Eden. Well, it won't work, Plant Man. Mary Jane loves Peter Parker.
And his poppies.
Yeah, and his poppies.
Oh, this is horrible.
Wonder what's going to pop out of Peter Parker's
poppies. No.
What's going to pop out of Peter Parker's pants? Poppies? So Peter Parker keeps a poppy in his pants.
And then he has a Peter tingle.
Yeah. All right. Now let's see here.
Wait for the apple. Wait till you get to the apple. This is the best.
All right.
This is the best.
Well, he throws an apple a day keeps the Plant Man away. So he throws but Plant Man throws a rotten apple at Spidey.
Yeah.
But Mary Jane wakes up and sprays Plant Man with gas, but Spider-Man is out cold.
Yep. Maybe the
Spider-Man. Okay, yeah. Spider-Man's okay. He revives. He says, "I think I love you." Aunt May goes, "Unhand her, Spidey. She's Peter's girl." All right.
Have you ever woken someone up that's passed out with an apple? Mary Jane says, "Oh no, Spidey's out cold. Maybe a sniff of this apple will help." MJ, what are you doing here? "I think I love you." And Spider-Man's white, beady eyes are in the shapes of hearts. This is awful.
I was about to say, if Mary Jane gets any closer, Spider-Man will get a face full of something else.
Oh my gosh!
So,
and we wrap it up.
We wrap it up with Mary Jane and walking off with Aunt May, wondering where Peter is. "Peter's my true love. Where is he?" The cop comes to arrest Plant Man. And it's a woman cop. So Spider-Man says, "How about you, honey? I feel like a new man." Oh, I see. So he's kind of gassed and he's acting goofy.
Yeah, that rotten apple did it.
Yeah. And the cop goes, "If this is the Garden of Eden, I think you just bit the apple."
Wow.
The end.
Wow. And we have a couple teases at the end.
Well, we have the wit of the web slinger. How does a monster count to 17? on his fingers. The monster has 17 fingers.
Yeah, there you go.
Aha.
Yep. So this is a classic in the history of Norman Osborn. This issue. Do you? You need
see
to.
Now this is why I stopped collecting Spidey suits.
No, you missed out on Norman cross-dressing to trick Spider-Man.
Peter Parker planted a pot of poppies. There we go, Venkman. Say that. Peter's poppies worries more.
Wow.
Hey, we're up 3 though. We got 3 more.
I know.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe the.
So that wraps up September. Was Norman cross-dressing with? You got the White Dragon. You got Moon Knight Moonlight. Was this a good month or not?
We got Moon Knight Moonlighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got what was this a good month? This is 1978. It was
you can't say this was a good month.
No, it was a pretty mediocre month. I mean, White Dragon was a D-list villain. And then Spectacular Spider-Man was an advertisement for Moon Knight, more or less. And they had their stupid supervillain cliche.
The Daredevil thing wrapped up in 3 panels.
the Daredevil story wrapped up in the last panel. The writer just realized he'd run out of pages, and so he had to wrap it up in the last story. Not a good month.
Wait a minute.
Not a good month.
Don't look over. Sheena riding the
elephant.
Elephant. And
saving Spidey from the elephant who was about to stomp on him.
You got the lizard gets big, turns into a turtle.
We get the lizard turning into a turtle, a dinosaur, and then giant.
And then Norman cross-dresses.
And Norman cross-dressing. And then Peter Parker's poppies.
Peter Parker's poppies. Where else can you find this?
Holy crap. Wait a minute. Howard Mackie ending. Look who joined.
Zach.
In a matter of speaking.
Zach, have you ever read Spidey Super Stories number 36 with the cross-dressing Norman Osborn and the turtle-changing lizard? There are clone issues better than this, JR.
I think that's going a little bit far.
Oh, come on now. Come on.
No, put these two. No, pick up maximum clonage. That was one of the choices I didn't pick. Pick up maximum clonage. I think Spidey Super Stories has maximum clonage beat.
Well, it could be.
Now see, Zach just joined. See, I missed Zach on the podcast
for Far From Home. We did too.
Yeah, because George was gonna call him, insult him, and call him a soy boy, and make a powdered sugar reference or a powdered flour reference or whatever.
Oh.
But Zach.
All right, we will do this in October.
Yeah, I guess we will. I guess we will. I'm just trying to think. We'll do it in October or we'll do it in late September, because actually this is August and September, and we're doing it in July. So.
Well, it's all relative. All right, YouTubers, you want to ask JR some questions before we wrap it up?
Well, surely you want to ask Brad questions,
or you can ask me questions. We will hang out with you just a little bit for a couple minutes, and then
a Howard Mackie ending is where the writer realizes there's a page left and just ends.
Yep, that was a Howard Mackie ending then. That was funny.
Well, the thing is, though, that story actually wrapped up. I mean, Howard never wrapped up his stories, did he? He never.
No.
Yeah, what year did? Oh, there you go. Good point, Vinkman.
Oh,
Norman.
Oh, so this wasn't Norman then.
Harry. It's Harry.
It's Harry.
Now, see, Harry. Yeah, Harry. That fits Harry. Thank you, Vinkman, for saving them.
Oh, come on.
Vinkman, you saved me. It has to be Harry.
Excuse me. Norman didn't die. He was still alive. He could have returned one more time after dropping Gwen off the bridge to cross-dress and trick Spider-Man.
Well, remember, in this universe, Uncle Ben didn't even exist.
No, that's true.
So there's no telling. Spidey Super Stories wasn't tied to the comics. No, not in the slightest.
No,
not in the slightest.
Oh, he was cross-dressing like Norman Bates. Get it? That's a Norman thing.
Man, Winchell's on a roll here today.
That's funny.
Man.
Oh, I did see the Picard teaser, Matt. That was what do you think of that, JR? You're not a next gen guy, though.
No, but I saw the teaser.
Wasn't it awesome?
No.
Oh, great.
No,
I loved it.
no. I mean, no. It's well, for one, Brent Spiner should not play Data again.
Well, they CG'd his face. He does look younger, I think.
Yeah, but Data looks like he's been doing too many cyber cookies, which is, I mean, I know I'm one to talk, but
so
you know, I'm not an ageless android.
Would you like to see Star Trek Kirk? I would.
Well, not with a 88-year-old William Shatner.
I would. I want him to come out of the Nexus and tell the Next Gen crew, "Hey, thanks for leaving me here for 20 years. I'm going to go retire."
Well, you know, the thing is though, is it's like 7 to 9 shows up, but it's like, was she really there filming, or was she just in? I mean, was she originally part of the story, or was she inserted later? Because rumors are that the original testing did not go very well.
Oh, really?
But it's so I almost wonder if they added her.
JR, you would know this
plugged her into the
answer.
stories.
Jonathan wants to know if the Spidey from Spidey Super Stories was in the Spider-Verse. He probably was. I don't remember it, but
well, no, he was actually kind of referenced. The Spidey, well, Spidey from
there's
the Spidey's,
two. There's two Spidey Super Stories.
Yeah, there's Spidey in the comic book, and then there was Spidey on the Electric Company.
Yeah, one didn't talk, one did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Spidey on the one of the Spideys is referenced because two of the Spideys they reference I think the movie guys, and they reference because it says one of them was trying to teach me how to read.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. So they did reference.
Yeah.
They did reference Spider-Man on the Electric Company.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Will Marvel buy Spider-Man from Sony, Matt?
No.
Marvel has tried.
Marvel
has tried, but Sony will not give him up because he is about the only franchise. Well, they've got him and James Bond.
No, I don't even think they have James Bond anymore. They've got Men in Black, and
which we saw how that went.
Yeah. I think it's more likely Disney will buy Sony than just buy Spider-Man.
Yeah, Disney has tried. Sony will not give him up. And apparently, the reason that they're doing these creatively bankrupt movies, Venom and now Morbius.
Yeah.
Although Venom, I never saw Venom. But it certainly gave Sony a lot of bad ideas that there's an audience for those villain movies.
I don't think
Venom is probably the only movie. Venom is probably the only Spider-Man villain that you could do a movie around. Really.
Maybe Craven. I don't see Morbius being a hit.
No.
At all.
But they have. But the reason they're doing those is because that keeps the license. They have to release a movie every 3 years and 9 months. Apparently.
Yeah.
So with those time frames, I mean, so as long as they get one in production within 3 years, I think, and then released within 3 years and 9 months, they can keep the license in perpetuity, which was just an utterly stupid deal that Marvel made when it was in, when it was coming. Well, see here, they got all the rights back because they were able to unwind that knot and get all the rights back from that Golan Globus had bought. And then they sold them to Sony, but they gave them carte blanche apparently.
Yeah.
So I think Marvel might have still been in bankruptcy then.
Yeah. JR, I think I need to call it, man. I think I need to call it.
Yeah. 11:59. It's going to be tomorrow. So
yep. I appreciate it, and then I'll get with you so you can be on Fight Club.
Oh, well, when George's internet starts working.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, YouTubers, thanks for watching. I appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
And JR, have a good night.
All right, you too.
See